to low value men.
The hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site. You can believe that. You can believe that. You can believe that.
Contracted COVID, but says with a mixture of medicines, including the controversial horse dewormer that has poisoned hundreds of people nationwide, he's now recovered.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
From the headlines to the whispers dark, low value mail, low value mail at 9 o'clock, where truth and fiction take a walk.
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Our stories are.
Well, hot damn, everybody. Happy 2025. Welcome back to an all-new episode of Low Value Mail on this Monday, January 6th, 2025, the year of our Lord. Happy January 6th, everybody, to all that celebrate. It's an exciting time. It's good to be back. I took a little sabbatical, a little break. I don't know what the difference between those two things are, but I did one of them, possibly both. But we're back. I know some of you were worried about me canceling the show, but I could not do that to you or me or you. Shout out to everybody watching over on Rumble right now. We're on the front page of Rumble. 1,000 people watching over on Rumble. Shout out to all of you fine folks. And welcome to the show. If you've never seen the show, Low Value Mail is at the same time the greatest and the worst call-in show, but mostly the greatest. And joining me tonight, a guest that I am super excited for. He's going to be joining us at the top of the hour, 10 p.m., is Mr. John Cullen. He's an independent journalist. He's done extensive research on the 2017 Las Vegas shooting. A lot of malarkey, a lot of skullduggery going on there for both of them. He also has some research on the Butler PA situation, potential second shooter. We might get to that as well. But he will be joining me. So welcome, everybody. If you've never seen the show, hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. I don't know. Guys, I wasn't joking when I said this is the best and the worst call-in show. So a few new things before I get to it. I've made some changes. As you know, I'm trying to improve the show. I'm trying to make this the greatest call-in show of all time. So some of you are not going to like this. I honestly don't care. But in a very low value move, from now on, there will be screening of callers. So I prided myself on never screening callers. I said, you know what? Whatever, just refuse or detritus, big word, just hunkering around the internet, just all, just the bottom of the barrel. Whatever they wanted to talk about, we would talk about. But I've realized that it's maybe not the best overall experience. And that's not to say that if you'll still get through, but priority will go to people who actually have something to add to the show. I guess we'll say that which I think is fair. Like, no more people calling in being like, what are you guys talking about tonight? And I go, and then I have to explain to them what we're talking about for 2 minutes. Or someone who's like, the last episode was just like in a fucking wind tunnel. Just the whole thing is just in a wind tunnel the whole time. It was a good call, too. The guy was talking about drones and shit in New Jersey. He was out in New Jersey. He was like a drone pilot, but we can't do that. So anyways, we're screening callers now. Another thing, another change I'm making. There's going to be a lot of changes coming here. This is, your mom and dad are getting divorced, okay? And we're moving to separate states. You're not going to like it, but it is what it is. The Low Value Mail overtime show that I had been doing before is no more. At least for now, it's no more. But it will be replaced. There's a number of reasons why I didn't want to do it. One, I didn't think it was that great of a show. I'm like tired after doing the show for like 2.5 hours. And then there's not that many people watching live because you're also tired because you just watched a show for 2.5 hours. So I will be replacing the Low Value Mail Overtime show with an audio-only solo podcast covering a lot of like the same stuff, basically the stuff that like I don't get to, plus, maybe a couple news stories that might pop up in between the time I recorded and this episode. So the Overtime will now be replaced with a weekly or mostly weekly, but it'll be pretty much every week honestly, sometimes I'm on the road and I can't do this show, but I'll still be able to do that show because that'll be an easier thing to do because there's no camera or whatever. So it will be replaced with a hour-long solo pod. Will probably come out on Thursdays. And if you would like access to that, you can sign up, support the show, patreon.com/lowvaluemail. That's patreon.com/lowvaluemail, MAIL. Sign up for $5 a month. You get so much content. It's insane. You get every show we've ever done without ads. You'll also, for those of you who are new to the show, I do, tomorrow night, we have a new episode of The Bathhouse. It's a comedy call-in show that I do live from one of the best comedy clubs in New York City, from the Green Room. Really just down and dirty in there. And I will, the Bathhouse episodes will go, at least I'm going to try this. We'll go private right after the episode ends. If you catch it live, you catch it live. If not, it'll come out a few days later. But if you're a Patreon subscriber, you can get access to it right away. Because like 90% of you watch all this stuff after the fact anyways. And so if you want to support the show, please go ahead, support the show, patreon.com/lowvaluemail, MAIL. I know money's tight. It's after the holidays. Inflation. You don't know how bad fucking inflation is right now. I went out for dinner last night. I'm sorry because there's stuff I want to get to, but I went out for dinner last night with some comedians. I went to a restaurant. You should play this fun game next time you go to a restaurant. Okay. You go into Google Maps, or like the Google, whatever, like the Google Maps on your iPhone, and search the restaurant, okay? Just give it a search. And what happens is people take photos of the menu to like contribute to that restaurant's profile on Google Maps, right? And a lot of times the main menu pick will be a few years old, okay? So we went to this restaurant. It was a Lebanese place, very good, in East Village in New York City. And I'm looking at the menu on Google Maps because they're all on like the QR codes where you got to scan it. I don't like to do that. Just hand me a fucking menu, right? But I had it on my phone. I'm looking at the menu. I go, oh, this place is pretty reasonably priced. Then they go, no, you got to scan the thing. And then I begrudgingly scan the thing. 50% higher. Literally 50, every single menu item. And this was a 3-year-old photo, less than 3 years old. 50% higher. This is Joe Biden's America. Even though Trump was certified today, Kamala had to do it. You know she didn't like that. By the way, tough day for Indian leaders, huh? Tough day. Kamala and now Trudeau. Ugh. Brutal. But anyways, 50% higher. So I know money's tight. Everything just costs 50% more than it did 3 years ago. That's fucking insane. And let me tell you what, it's never going back. This restaurant is never going to be like, you know what? Inflation seems to have moderated. Let's just lower our prices. No. These are the prices. Maybe they'll stay the same for a decade if we're lucky. If we are super lucky, they will stay the same for a decade if we're incredibly lucky, right? But here's the thing. If you ever taken an economics class or like a business class, they're always like, there's menu costs, right? There's a cost associated with changing your menu. Right. And so then businesses, they can't just change their menu every month. It's expensive. They got to print off all these new menus and get them laminated. Not with fucking QR codes. They don't just go. That was me typing. So anyways, never going back. And they don't even have the menu costs. They don't even have to do that. They could just go boop, 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 boop. Change the prices back. But they're not. It's a total scam. I'm also introducing one more thing, and then we're going to get to the meat of the show. over on YouTube, I know you can't do this on Rumble, and shout out to everybody over on Rumble. There's like, there's a lot of you over on Rumble. But on YouTube, they introduced this new feature, this thing, some super chat goal thing. Where basically, if it hits 20 super chats, I'll do an extra half hour of the show. If not, that's just what it is. It's fine. And I'll read all your super chats on Rumble or YouTube. All right. Ding dong. Justin Trudeau is gonzo. Kind of. I wore my Wayne Gretzky Canada Cup, 1987 Canada Cup jersey. Bought it on Temu, $20. Honestly, pretty good purchase. First thing in my life I ever bought off of an Instagram ad. It's kind of a girl thing to do, right? But I did it. And it's actually surprisingly good quality, except for that the sleeves were super fucking long. It made no sense. And I had to go to a tailor, a seamstress, if you will, and get the sleeves shortened. But that was like $10. I go, still a steal. I'll wear it 4 more times before it disintegrates. Shout out to Temu. I don't know if Temu requires shout outs at all in any capacity. But Justin Trudeau today resigned. He resigned. But he didn't really resign. He kind of resigned. He resigned from not being the Prime Minister of Canada. And I don't know how many Canadians are watching right now, but this is a national story. This is my wheelhouse. As a Canadian living in America, I go, finally, my time to shine. A Canada-related topic, right? But so he resigned as the head of the party. He's shutting down Parliament for 3 months while he gets his shit together, I suppose. However, it's kind of meaningless. Honestly, everybody's like so pumped about this. They were going to have an election in October regardless, at which point he was going to get fucking smoked. Absolutely decimated. They were potentially going to call an election next month. They were going to do one of these no confidence votes for you Americans, this parliamentary system, right? But so he just goes, you know what? We're closing shop for 3 months. Everybody literally go home, which is crazy. Just like all you people who apparently run the country, it's a snow day. It's a 3-month fucking snow day, okay? Sends them all home. But he could just keep extending it. He could literally decide, he goes, I'm going to keep extending it and extending it. He could extend it into October. He could decide that, you know what? They did a kind of leadership convention. Nobody was really that good. And I'll just run. Why not? Currently the Prime Minister anyways. Donald Trump, the 47th president it doesn't start today. It starts in 2 weeks from now, right? Again, Canadian. Posted this on Truth Social. Many people in Canada love being the 51st state. The United States can no longer suffer the massive trade deficits and subsidies that Canada needs to stay afloat. Justin Trudeau knew this and resigned. If Canada merged with the United States, there would be no tariffs, taxes would go way down, and they would be totally secure, that's all caps, totally secure, from the threat of the Russian and Chinese ships that are constantly surrounding them. Together, what a great nation it would be. Can't blame Trump right here. Honestly, the guy smells blood, all right? There's no question about that. Trump is smelling blood right now. He likes the way it smells, likes the way it tastes. He sees a weak country, and he goes, you know what? I may be able to get this done. And there's like, is there a prime minister? Everybody went home. I guess there's a prime minister. What the fuck's he going to do? He's not going to do anything. Like, you're going to negotiate with the guy who's just like on his way out. And, you know, like Canada could legitimately be kind of dysfunctional for a good part of this year, and Trump might make a play. And look, if Trump gets Canada, I don't know if they have to put his head on Mount Rushmore beside the other 4. I don't know if they do that. If they're going to be like Mount Rushmore now has 5 heads, or we have to remove somebody. They're not going to remove Washington, not going to remove Lincoln. And those are the only 2 I know. Let's see who else is on there. Who's on Mount Rushmore? Who we got? Theodore Roosevelt, can't remove him. Thomas Jefferson, ooh, that's tough. So they're just going to have to add him. But if he gets Canada, man, I mean, Greenland, he was like cracking jokes. He goes, I'm just going to buy Greenland. And the Greenland's like, we're not for sale. And then Greenland literally just like put some declaration where they essentially are leaving Denmark, and they're fucking Greenland's open for business. If he gets Greenland, Canada, Panama Canal, you put him on Mount Rushmore. Like, is there any... I mean, he'll put himself on Mount Rushmore. He goes, look, it's just like it's another construction project. Let's just get me on Mount Rushmore. Do they have to vote? I don't know how it works in America. Like, is it understood in America that Mount Rushmore is set? Surely it can't be. Like, what if there's a really good president 400 years from now? Like there's going to be 100 presidents over the next 400 years. One of them's got to be good enough to get on Mount Rushmore, surely. But he could do it, because people think it's like, oh, you got to have boots on the ground. Right? Like you gotta literally go invade Canada. No, you do not need to go invade Canada. All they would have to do, which I'm sure he could do, is say every Canadian gets U.S. citizenship if you want it. We'll convert your dollars 1-to-1. The Canadian dollar is the weakest it's been in a very long time. Lower taxes. You can move somewhere warm. Hey, you like Florida? There's nowhere warm in Canada. You can move somewhere warm, and you don't need a visa or cross a border. You know how many people will just instantly leave? Millions. To the point where it would cause so much chaos, economic chaos in Canada, that instantly it would just be over. They'd be just forced to make a deal, and then they wouldn't even have like a proper prime minister. I mean, not like he was good if this happened a month ago, but it'd be a mess. And I mean, look, and they have what's his name? Pierre Poilievre. He's basically a lock to be the next prime minister. He's kind of like a mini Trump. It's funny, he like specifically bites some of Trump's little things too. Like the nickname stuff, like this guy Mark Carney, who used to be the head of the Bank of Canada, and I believe Bank of England. Both of them. But so he does the nickname thing. He calls him Carbon Tax Carney. So it's like, you know, I'm sure Pierre would, as much as he really wants to be prime minister, if he's governor of Canada, because I looked it up, that's how it works, is if you're a U.S. territory, you got to be a governor now. He's fine with it, because that basically is the prime minister. Same thing. And look, I know some Canadians will argue with me. Maybe there's a case to be made. Canada has no discernible identity anymore. I mean, I'm wearing the hockey jersey right now. And I know if you don't live in Canada, what I'm about to say is going to make 0 sense to you, and you are not going to understand this. But Canada hasn't medaled at the World Juniors Hockey Tournament for the last 2 years, while at the same time, the United States won gold 2 years in a row, and Canada didn't even medal. Like, that was like kind of our only thing. That was all Canada had, is we were like, yeah, we're the best at hockey. We don't have that many people, and we'll smoke all of you. And besides, like, you know, they won the Olympics in 2014. There's not much going on. What are we, polite? That's what we have now? We don't have hockey anymore. It's like our maple syrup. There's good maple syrup in America. That's a lie. And again, you Americans are like, what are you talking about? I'm telling you, this is a big deal in Canada. And also with the whole Canadians are polite, that's loser talk. Okay? That is loser talk. Polite countries get conquered. That's what happens to polite countries. If that's like what your entire ethos of your nation is that you're polite and you happen to have a lot of natural resources, go walk around New York City and be polite and just have gold falling out of your pocket. See what happens to you. Someone's going to fucking light you on fire. You're going to get literally lit on fire. I'm going to open the phone lines right now. If you'd like to call in and you think you have something to add to the show, please call in. If you want to ramble, then you might not get through. And again, we're going to be joined by John Cullen, top of the hour, talking about all things Las Vegas shooting conspiracy. And I've been watching videos of his pretty much all day. It's wild. It is wild. The whole thing's wild. So the U.S., the United States, and I'll be picking up calls in like probably 10 minutes. The United States rang in the new year with a bang, I suppose. Happy 2025, everybody. Specifically, terror attack in New Orleans, and then that weird-ass Cybertruck bombing in front of the Trump building in Las Vegas. Which is funny. You see they got the map of his driving route because he had to keep charging it, and then he accidentally drove to, I guess there's a different Las Vegas in America. I don't know where the Las Vegas is, the other Las Vegas, but then he I'm looking this up right now. Other Las Vegas, America. What do you need two Las Vegases for? You think at some point you go, look, there's a good one, and just change your name. Las Vegas, New Mexico. So I don't know if it's on the way or if he got lost. He accidentally boop, 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 punch in the wrong directions there. There's another Las Vegas. There's two Las Vegas Is that how you say it? Some people are in the Rumble chat are not happy with the Canada stuff. I'm off the Canada stuff. It was like the biggest story in the world today. This is not a Canada podcast. Don't worry. But so they had a terror attack, New Orleans, weird Cybertruck bombing, and a lot of weird shit. If you see that video of the Cybertruck bombing, the guy who blew up the Cybertruck, and then there's like these still frames, and apparently he killed himself, shot himself in the head with like a Desert Eagle, but then there's these frames, and his head's like kind of moving as the thing's exploding. I don't really get how that works. Also, in regards to the New Orleans attack, the guy had an ISIS flag. Where do you even buy an ISIS flag? I know that this country has the First Amendment. I actually know the answer to this. This is a purely rhetorical question because I actually, surprisingly enough, I do research. You can buy them on Etsy. You can buy an ISIS flag on Etsy. They're like $40, $35, $40, depending on which one you get. I don't know if there's any difference between them. Probably all made in China, to be honest, which is hilarious. And again, I know America has a First Amendment, and you're allowed to buy an ISIS flag. That is your God-given right as an American to buy any flag you want, even if that's an ISIS flag, right? And I don't know if this is controversial or not, but if you're the American government, man, you get some real bang for your buck. Some real bang for your buck if you start tracking who's buying ISIS flags. I know this is like a invasion of privacy, whatnot, which, I mean, they do this shit all the time anyways. But, man, you would think nobody's really doing good things buying ISIS flags. Nobody's buying an ISIS flag to burn it. You don't see those. I've never seen that video of someone just being like, fuck you, ISIS, and burning a flag. Never seen that, right? Really what they should do, if I worked for the FBI and I was, getting tired of making all my buddies dress up as white supremacists and Nazis and stuff, I would go buy 1,000 ISIS flags, maybe 5,000. I don't know where the discount, where you get the bulk discount. What do they even care? It's the FBI. They could lose money on these things. Go get a bunch of them, 5,000 of them printed off, 5,000 ISIS flags. You open your own Etsy shop, okay? You open your own Etsy shop with your 5,000 ISIS flags, and then you severely undercut the competition. So they're like $35, $40 on Etsy, right? Sell them for $10. $10 ISIS flags, 2 for $15, all right? And then you just take every person who buys one and you put them on a watch list, okay? That seems like money. Like if I was in charge of the FBI, that's what I would be doing, okay? You're like, they just do so much bullshit. They waste so much money. And you're like, this is free. I'm giving you this for free, FBI. I know, again, invasion of privacy. Maybe we don't like the government tracking our Etsy purchases. I mean, I sure don't. They would see how many doilies I buy. It would damage my reputation. I'm not even exaggerating how badly it would damage my reputation, but it would be money well spent. So anyways, that's a freebie, FBI. If you're watching this, and I know you someone at the FBI probably watches this show. You'd think that'd be reasonable. Also, not to too much Canada stuff, because I know some people don't like Canada. Fair enough, even though they might be your brother soon, might be your stepbrother. The New Orleans terrorist actually went up to, because they were tracking all his whereabouts, went up to Ontario shortly before the attack, which, if I had to guess, it would probably be to get some tips from actual ISIS members. Because here's the thing. If you don't know, this past summer, 2024, a father and son were arrested in Toronto with plans to carry out this massive terror attack. And when they caught him, they go, hey, these guys were not the son, but the dad was literally in ISIS. He came to Canada in 2018, became a citizen in early 2024, somehow got through all the vetting. Canada's not a serious country. Let's be honest here. The more I talk about it, I go, what's going on here, right? But he literally got vetted by whatever Canada's equivalent of the Department of Homeland Security, whatever that is. And then it turns out, it came out that he tries to do this this terrorist attack. And they go, this guy was in ISIS. He was literally part of ISIS. Like literally, like they had a video of him chopping off a prisoner's hands while he was a member of ISIS. Sometimes you think, you go, as you're chopping off some prisoner's hands over in like Afghanistan, you go, you know what? This will definitely preclude me from ever being a Canadian citizen. You are wrong. You are wrong. Canada takes everybody. It's what it feels like. It really is what it feels like. They're really just really taking everybody. All right, well, one last thing, and then we'll take a few calls. Elon Musk. Elon Musk, the puppet master. This is what I'm calling him right now. I'm taking a page out of Donald Trump's book. I'm calling him Puppet Master Elon. Not a good nickname. I never said that was my forte. I never said that nicknames was what I was good at. But that guy's been on one. And I know I've been away for a month. A little less than a month. So a lot's happened. But it's been interesting to watch the last month for Elon, because he's not really handling this well. I think that's safe to say. I think we all agree on that. Not handling this great, right? Like everything was going pretty good. He was the meme lord guy. Loved memes. Apparently like the best video game player in the fucking world. I don't know how that happened. By the way, the phone number, if you don't know, 1-888-949-2969. I forgot to mention that, right? But the meme lord, Elon Musk, goes in on this whole H-1B visa thing because they hired this guy, this tech guy, Indian dude. And then the Indian guy goes, we need more H-1B visas from India because there's a cap on India. And that's the only country we can get good ones from. There's all these countries that have caps and they don't even use the caps. They don't even take advantage of the caps because there's not enough good talent. But India has 1.5 billion people. And I guess they got a lot of good people. And people were not happy about this. They go, we do not want more foreign-born workers. We really, really do not need that. And I'll say, you know, every for the people who are mad about it, it is only 85,000 visas, but obviously it is being abused. There's no question about that. Some of them, I'm sure, are good, and maybe, you know, they can't do certain jobs. And then some of them are like office manager. You know, like, I think we could find office managers in America. But the problem is because these tech guys think on like a totally different wavelength, right? They're all just like, we got to make shit fast. They're in their mind, they're like, we're in a fucking arms race with China. And if we don't do it, China will. And then we're going to all be speaking Mandarin and shit. So they're like, we need people who can work 80 hours a week for less money, or 100 hours a week. We need those people. And Americans, and then Vivek was like, every American's lazy as shit. Basically said that, and you're having too many sleepovers. Way too many sleepovers. You're not studying violin, right? So he got a lot of pushback from that. And he wasn't prepared for it. So then he goes and he just bans a bunch of people. Decides he's changing the algorithm all of a sudden. The most recent one, he's like, we're limiting negativity. And then I saw a tweet from him today where someone said something about him and then he replied, F you retard. To like just some guy. Wasn't George Soros. It's just some guy. And Elon Musk replies to you, 210 million followers, F you retard. Apologies for my language. But so he, and he banned a lot of the people who were basically dunking on him for this H-1B visa thing. But then Trump comes in and Trump goes, love the H-1B visa. It's the best visa of all time. So we're done talking about this. But there's all this anti-Indian sentiment going on. And then on January 1st, all of a sudden, we're talking about Muslim grooming gangs from England, which I was like, isn't that an old story? And it is. It's like 10 plus years old story. Right? Which, I guess a smart move on Elon's part. He's getting all this heat for all this Indian business. And he goes, you know what? Let's take away the focus from the Indians and let's put the focus on Indians' mortal enemies, Pakistani people, because they don't like each other at all. That's probably an understatement, but they are like mortal enemies. And we're all just like, aren't they like the same? I didn't know that there's really a difference, but there's a big difference. I mean, it's actually quite a small difference if you're not from there. But if you're from there, it's the hugest difference in the world. But if you live in America, you go, I remember when I was a kid, I'm dating myself here in the 90s. And I'm sorry if this is offensive to anybody, but literally whatever kind of brown you were, you could have been Mexican. They just called everybody Packies. There was like this one blanket racial slur. You could be Indian. You could be Colombian. Thai probably got that. And you just be like, they're all Packies. Which, and now in hindsight, if someone was Indian and they were called a Pack, that must have been like the most offensive thing. You're like, that's like my mortal enemy. You're calling me the slur. You go, I'm not Pakistani. I'm Indian. And then children in the 90s are like, I don't know what you just said. I don't know the difference between any of this. You're all Packies. And then we've moved past that now. We're getting a little more cultured where we go, we kind of know that some of us know the differences. And then they have specific slurs for each group now. Right? But Elon, he's really like the puppet master. He's like a DJ almost. He just decides what to play, and we're all kind of just bopping along to it. He just goes, hey guys, this is the news now. You go, this was the news like 10 years ago. You go, no, it's the news now. Because I say so. Because I'm going to tweet about it 50 times a day. And I have 210 million followers. So it's the news now. And so we're called kind of, and then CNN, he's like, Elon Musk is tweeting about this. Fox News, Elon Musk is tweeting about this, MSNBC. So you go, I guess that's just the news. They just go, hey, Elon, what song are we playing next? He goes, this one. I go, all right, that's the news. Which is an insane amount of power to have, to just dictate public discourse in that fashion. Insane. Okay. We're going to take some calls, and then we're going to be joined by John Cullen, talking all things Las Vegas conspiracy, top of the hour. I'm going to take this one right here. Oh, you know what? Can I not unmute these people? Hey, Mark. Haha, so, little foiled in my screening thing. I can't unmute anybody now. Haha. Oh, actually, you know what? Hold on. There we go. I figured it out. Sorry about that. Hello. Hello there. You are on Low Value Mail. Who am I speaking with?
You're speaking with Richard.
Richard, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Such a formatical question, right? Just ask everyone. How you doing, by the way?
Yeah. Usually the people, usually someone could be like on the brink of suicide and they're like, doing great. Doing real great.
I own a business where I talk to veterans. Like I help veterans with VA increases. Basically, I fight the VA all day, and a lot of the job is sales, calling veterans, and like the one thing you can't ask, and everyone always, "How you doing, by the way?" And the veteran's like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna kill myself." Like,
yeah. What do you ask them then? If you because it is such a formality, but you're like, like just this specific group, you don't really want to ask them how they're doing. What do you ask them? You just be like, you're just right to business kind of thing, or what?
You know what? I'm in the realm of media buying. So before I got into the business, I had been doing the media buying for a lot of the bigger corporations for like 10 years. So I can just build out the ad strategies. And before a customer will come through my door, I'll make them fill out a form and basically request me to help and tell me all that stuff to avoid that conversation. So I get on a call with them, and most of the time I know what they need. And shout out to the vets, because most of them are pretty upfront. If they're suicidal on the note, they'll be like, "Yeah, I'm going to kill myself. Please help me now." Like, they'll put that. It's not funny, but I mean, they're honest.
Damn, dude. I mean,
you know how to start that conversation. But
this country does not treat them that well. Has it got better? Like, do you find like there's an improvement in the way that the veterans are treated, like taken care of?
I mean, the simple answer is like, it's like here's a good correlation for the masses, a broad term, right? They're like the CIA is fucking corrupt. It's like 5 people. It's like head leaders in certain positions that no one even know. Like it's like TV people from the CIA are the corrupt ones. But like the people that work there, they're doing what the fuck they can. They're doing their job. They're trying to get the job done. Right. But there's so much red tape and bureaucracy in the form of how the funding's thrown around that. One of my employees is like a long-time VA employee in like the main office in DC, and without getting too much into it, they do some wild corrupt shit there that ends up just coming down to affect thousands of veterans just from getting cash that they should be getting. And that's most of the time I'm literally just sending a veteran to a doctor to get a piece of paper that says, "Hey, he actually is fucked up from his time in the service, and your doctor is wrong." And the VA is like, "Yep, you're right. We're wrong. Here you go. Here's your money. Sorry." I
mean, it's so crazy just because with the background of this being absolutely like the richest country on earth, to them to just like, and everybody knows what the veterans are like forced to essentially do, like all these wars that are unnecessary and putting them in these positions. Be like, just fucking give them the money. Let them go see a doctor.
It's a fucking machine. Yeah, dude, you give them 100%. I mean, dude, a veteran fully disabled that's never going to like work again is going to get $4,000 a month in like tax. That's not, I mean, what is that? Like a fucking apartment anywhere? Barely.
Not where I live.
Pay a mortgage.
You can't live on that.
Yeah, right. You're in New York.
Yeah, patreon.com/low-value-mail, everybody. Yeah. Anyways,
pay this man. Send this money.
Send this man some money. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, so you guys are talking about the Cybertruck incident and a couple things with Elon. I'll add some insight. I own a Model X and a Model 3. I've owned a couple Teslas for now for like 4 or 5 years, and I've been on all the beta programs for the full self-drive. And there's just so much, I would say, what do you want to call it? Revelation of the method for Elon right now. He's just withholding so much information. While it's known that he like cooperated with the police to get all the information and all the reports, like, this motherfucker can pull the dash cam footage. Right. He's not talking about all the capabilities that the Cybertruck just got with that 12.6 with the 13.52 update or whatever that we all just got. Where, I mean, dude, I could put a dummy in my front seat and summon that thing 200-300 feet around a parking lot at Publix and park it anywhere I wanted to, and it wouldn't stop it. I just did. I put my dog in the car and it will drive from one part of the parking lot to the other without any concern. Put my kids in. It would do it with your kids in the car, like. It doesn't have that type of fail-safe that would stop someone from saying, "Hey, put dead body in car, send to the front, and then blow it up." If it's only 200 feet, man, the summon will do it. It will go to target. Even the older variations of it, where it was a little bit more better, did it.
Is it all just like a sensor? Is it just a sensor on the seat that just detects like some kind of weight, essentially how like a seatbelt sensor?
Let's say that if you were sitting in the front seat, there were a sensor that said, "Hey, you can't be there." I mean, there are plenty of styrofoam body dolls that you could put in it that would be under like the 2-3 pound weight, maybe sensor. Right. But I mean, for all intents to be honest, I've summoned the car with me sitting in it before. If I'm sitting in it, it'll still drive somewhere.
Yeah,
it doesn't really make a difference.
And is the dash cam footage?
But him to not even speak on it.
Yeah. Is it dash cam footage?
Cam.
But is it saved locally? Like, is there a hard drive, or is it saved like to the cloud?
So, I mean, I guess there's maybe it's speculation, but I'll give you a little insight, right? So when you're on the program, if you're driving around and you disengage full self-drive, a little notification will pop up and goes, hey, you just disengaged full self-drive. Hit the button, hit the voice button, which is the little trigger button on the knob to do voice control, and you have 10 seconds to voice your complaints, which is really stupid because, of course, people are going to go, fuck you, and scream and talk, just run their mouth off to the developers. I've done it when I'm angry, unfortunately.
Oh, so they just get all day, they just get these voice notes.
Yes, they're just getting this data all day, and you're going to tell me that they don't have that attached to the footage? Right. And I'm one of the unique cases where I got locked in the car for like 45 seconds, and the thing went on a little drive on a back road.
What?
And I had to have the car in service for 4 months. Yeah, it was a big pain in the ass. The car basically locked me in it when it was trying to maneuver itself in a parking lot. And what I mean by locking you in it is you can get out of the car, right? But I could not physically turn the software off, and the ability to hit brake was shut off. It was a really unique situation that I got all on camera, and I had to fight with Tesla for a while to deal with it. And I mean, I've seen people with way less cases get media airtime, and I put this video all over the place. No one saw it. But
yeah, I mean, I guess when your car is just all software, then you have like you have software.
Yeah, I mean,
bugs,
think about
right?
it. Yeah, I mean, and there's nothing unique to the software because there's so many different models now that owning the two different ones, like the more expensive one and the Model 3, which is the most purchased one, that car has the $1 million of investment while the other models kind of just get like the back burner treatment. And because of that, the software actually doesn't work as good on its better models. And I can see why the flaws kind of create walls. Yeah. But my point is that he's not being upfront about everything. He from the start could have said, here's the dash cam footage, Mr. Freedom of Speech, here's the dash cam footage. Instead, he's like, ban Laura Loomer and ban everybody, and now I'm offended. And what do you say? Didn't he said fuck you retard to somebody?
Yeah. And do you think he's reason do you think he's maybe cooperating with the authorities, and that's why he's not just releasing it on Twitter, like the dash cam footage, like he's provided it to them? I guess it assumes how deep you think this goes, right? Because you're saying like there could have been a dead body in there, could have not even been a real person. And those are super tinted windows.
My argument is that you could use the technology as it is to do something as simple as that. Like, where's the footage 200 feet beyond that? I mean, there's cameras all over Las Vegas. They don't have more footage prior to that, the street prior, the street down. I mean, that's pretty, for investigative purposes.
Yeah, that's pretty scary, though, that like if someone wanted, they could just pack a Tesla with explosives and then just remote drive it somewhere and detonate it.
I mean, it's hard to take a lot of the bullshit you see seriously in the media regarding, I mean, even the certain aspects of terrorism. Like, it sucks that guy drove that car into the crowd, but it's like, isn't anyone worried about someone just fucking around with autopilot and hack? You can buy software called look up Ghost Tech, and you can hack your old Tesla that's out of warranty and make the slow Tesla a performance model enhancement with the dual motor and make it faster. What's to say you can't hack it to override the software settings? Damn, you know what I mean? As the models get older, you're going to think, right? Like your older iPhones, they're much easier to jailbreak. Right. When I had an iPhone 4, iPhone 5, I was in fucking college, man. I was jailbreaking these things and putting emulators on.
I used to do that too. But the thing with iPhones is they just get, they get bricked essentially. They just become like the compute capacity on them just becomes like they just become so slow that you can barely use them. But I guess that's not the case for a car. A car, you can make this thing even faster.
And listen, I'm not like a computer expert in the terms of like how can you hack a car and program it. I don't know, but
probably.
I do know
if it's just software, you can hack anything that's software.
I mean, we're at the point now where we're about a couple weeks away from my 12-year-old son using fucking ChatGPT to make his own crypto exchange,
right,
and make money off of it. I mean, it's like it's about to pace up so quickly that what's to say someone can't go, hey, I used to work at Tesla. Here's all the shit I stole, upload it into ChatGPT, and say, how do we hack this thing?
Right.
And it's like, yeah, it's finally. And he hacks the car.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, and that's the thing. We're at cars now, man. What about robots? So I could rabbit hole all day about this shit, but the point is that we're cooperating or not. Let's say he was cooperating. I mean, then so he wasn't cooperating with
because he has tons of government contracts and stuff. So he's
you know?
obviously in cozy with the feds. You know,
It's so weird that like it's like if everyone fucking hates his guts, man. And then the minute he decides, you know what, I'm on this vibe now, which I wouldn't say he just switched. It was a pretty progressive, or I'd say it was blended as good as maybe it could be, but just based on who he was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, watching the liberals go from I love Elon to I hate him, just kind of sinking into that, and then sinking into Trump, the timing of it all.
I mean, hey man,
if you look, man,
he's $200 billion richer since
nuances.
Yeah, but I mean, he's $200 billion richer.
Yeah, I mean, money talks.
Backing Trump
that
was money well spent right there. Yeah. Anyways, I gotta let you go, Richard. Thanks, man.
He did a good job with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Have a good night, man.
You too. Richard, everybody. Let's go to Jake right now. Shout out to Logan Sorter. He says, who wants to make Danny work longer than he wants? Super chat. We need 19 more. Sean from Pittsburgh, my contribution. And Logan, from what I understand, Mount Rushmore was never completed. Hello. You're on Low Value Mail. Who am I speaking with?
Hi.
Hey, what's up?
Is it me?
Hello. You're on the show.
It's not me. It is me.
Yeah, it is
Holy
you.
Shit. No, it's Jake.
Jake, what's up, dog?
It's Jake. It's not Sean.
It's not Sean. No, Sean. I was reading a super chat. What's up, Jake?
Second-time caller.
How you doing, man?
Second-time caller. Long-time listener. The last time I called, my ex was drowning rats in a toilet. The bubbles come out.
Oh yes, I remember that. Dark shit.
It's me. So I wanted to touch on the complete role reversal of King and Jester, where Sam Hyde has a full-blown presidential press release.
Yeah, that was great.
Elon is fucking hiding behind Kekistan.
Yeah, I know. For like 2 days.
It's not.
I mean, for him to go.
Not the end of Rome.
Yeah, I mean, for him to go, it's like ban all those like Groyper accounts, and then he goes, "No, I'm cool. Look, I put Pepe in my bio." He's like, "I'm cool." And you're like, "Well, just ban all this."
The Pepe in the bio, but no Pepe in the inbox.
No, I mean, I will say it's just like it was only a matter of time. It feels like, obviously this is a hindsight thing, but it feels like it was only a matter of time before he started to crack a bit.
He's coming from a place of like high technology. You know what I mean?
He's super autistic.
I live in the Midwest, right?
Yeah.
I am also autistic, but I shovel snow and carry wood and shit. You know what I mean?
You harness it for good.
From a place of soft.
Of what now?
This is a chime. These are the chimes of doom. When the king pretends to be the jester, and the jester is better at being the king.
Right.
These are certainly end times, right?
Well, I guess the question is what happens to the jester, because normally the jester is kind of the first to get his head cut off, right? Like when the jester upstages the king.
Sure, but
the jester goes. I don't think there's. I could be wrong. I'm not a crazy history guy, but I don't know if there's ever been a scenario where the jester took the king's spot.
It's the jester's career is one of honesty.
Sure.
And the politician's career is one of lies.
Yeah.
Right? Once this veil is lifted.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a good point because, like, you know, obviously Elon Musk was not in politics in any capacity up until the last year, and now he's as in as you can get. And he's trying to be like, well, how am I different than George Soros? And you're like, I don't know. I don't think George Soros gave presidential candidate $200 million. He just dicks around with DAs and stuff.
Right. I do think the Doge department is mission critical, but I don't think Elon should be the head. Ron Paul is still alive.
I know, and
Breaking
it sounds
my
like
heart.
It sounds like Ron Paul's kind of going to be involved, though. It sounds like he'll be have some involvement
Ron Paul
as an advisor.
I've been watching the Ron Paul channel, and he was so gracious. He was like, "I was considered and not accepted. I'm just happy it's happening."
They didn't accept him?
Ron Paul puts out a video at least like twice a week.
Yeah.
No, he's out.
What?
Ron Paul is out. Him and his artificial eyebrows. He's not even part of Doge.
That's kind of surprising.
And with the graciousness of a true leader, dude, I remember. Do you remember 2000?
2000 when?
Ron Paul was the guy.
Yeah. What year was it?
2005. 2005.
2005. Yeah.
2005. In 2005, Ron Paul was the guy. Ron Paul was the guy. And big money pushed him right out. He was standing there on the stage. They talked over him, right, in a Trumpish way. The problem is that Ron Paul is Dr. No. In no instance is more government the right answer.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
I'm not saying there shouldn't be any government.
Yeah, you gotta have some government.
I'm
I'm not a
ass.
fucking anarchist. I know some people are probably watching and they're like, yeah, there should be.
Yeah.
I'm sure some libertarians are like, there should
We're
be
agreeing
zero
bigly.
government. And you're like, that's, I don't know how that's going to work
Those
either.
aren't really libertarians, though. Those, like Ann Capistan is untenable. Like, how
Oh,
about,
dude,
like,
I
a
moderated.
representation-
I moderated us the Colorado Libertarian Presidential Convention last year. Some of the shit out of these guys' mouths, I was like, this is crazy. Like, they were like, there should be private
too
borders.
much.
And you're like, how does that work? And you're like, they're like, well, I don't really know, but it just sounds
Well,
good.
a private borders. How about private property within a larger nation?
Sure.
Like, if we're not a nation, we're going to balkanize. We're going to be Europe. We're
Yeah.
going to be at war with each other.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, 100%.
Danny, I understand I'm eating up your time. I
Yeah.
understand I'm eating up your time, brother. I just wanted to say my piece. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you. Appreciate you calling in. That was Jake, everybody.
Thank you. Don't forget about the bubbles coming out, the drowning of the rats. Love you, brother. Bye.
You're going to have to watch an old episode to get that. All right. You know what? We don't have any more time for callers. I apologize. I'm going to read some super chats, and then we're going to go to the break, and we're going to be back with John Cullen. Super chats from Drew M. 2025 is going to be a low-value year. I hope and hope not in different ways. Maurice asks, glad you're continuing the show. Any New Year goals? Honestly, my main goal is mostly to figure out this show, to be honest. That is my main New Year goal, is to just figure out how to make this show popular and successful. And then Blankers says, Canada is the most corrupt nation on earth. Danny, please look into Sam Cooper's work covering Chinese interference at the Bureau. Could be a guest. I've actually spoken with Sam Cooper, and I would like to get him on. You know what? I'll message him again. If you check him out on Twitter, basically, for those of you, and I know the people on are like, there's too much Canada talk, but people were talking about election interference in America. Remember all that, like, oh, Russiagate, all that bullshit? There's like real election interference in Canada. Literally, like CCP was doing some wild shit in Canada, like to the point of like deciding like who would run in certain like districts or whatever, like parliamentary districts. Crazy stuff, like I don't know if it was extortion, but like they were like threatening people's families back home in China if Canadian candidates wouldn't fall in line. Really crazy stuff. That is a good call. I will attempt to get him on. All right, we're gonna go to a break right now. Enjoy a clip from an old episode of The Bathhouse. We have a new episode tomorrow night at 9 p.m. And we will be back. And again, if you want to support the show, patreon.com/lowvaluemail, MAIL. It is only with your support that the show can and will continue. And thank you, everybody, for the super chats. 14 more, and you'll get an extra half hour. You can't lose. But yes, enjoy a clip from The Bathhouse, and we will be back very shortly. See you soon.
I was out in South Carolina, though, for that hurricane.
Oh, were you really? What was it crazy?
Was FEMA shooting at
I
you?
was supposed to be doing like an outdoor camping festival that weekend. So, the whole weekend went differently than planned.
What kind of music? What kind of festival? One of those EDM things where everyone has hot bodies?
How not fun does that sound to you?
Not fun
No,
at
it was
all.
a
Like a
conspiracy.
panic attack.
A conspiracy festival?
Conspiracy.
What?
What's that? Like Pork Fest?
What's a conspiracy?
A conspiracy festival. Was it Pork Fest?
Yeah.
No. Or it's like Pork Fest.
No, it was Flattoberfest.
What is it? Say it again.
Flattoberfest.
Blacktoberfest.
Oh.
Doesn't sound like fun, eh, Ken?
With this accent, I can't comment on that. But
So, and what is the deal with the festival? Everybody just like camps out and just talks about conspiracies? Or
Right.
they have like
Yeah,
speakers
it's
and
just
stuff?
a huge flat Earth. It's a big flat Earth thing, and a bunch of flat Earth speakers go up, and then flat Earth
Oh,
music and stuff.
Flattoberfest.
Hey, we thought you were saying something else.
Oh, I think you said,
Blacktoberfest,
I
yeah.
think you said Blacktoberfest. Flattoberfest. So everybody just
No.
they're
Was Kyrie there?
shared interest of flat Earth.
they've got
huh?
flat earthers from
He
all
leads
around the
it.
globe. It's
Yeah.
So you believe in that shit, Tony?
Yeah, big time.
Tony,
So
you're a
last
flat
year it
earther.
was in Vegas, and then this past year, South Carolina.
And then I bet when you guys are getting like the fucking weather machine is cooking to rain out Flattoberfest, I bet you guys are fucking cooking, huh?
Everyone's chirping about it. Oh, they did it on purpose, blah, blah, blah. You know.
I have a curious question for you, uneducated Tony. So if
Whoa, JJ.
if
JJ, I saw you live too. So
wait,
easy there.
no, wait, well, hold on. Which city?
Fucking genius Tony now.
What city?
Hang up on him.
What city? Hold on, because
In Scottsdale, you opened for Ryan Long.
dude, I would bomb up there. That was north. Remember you were there
Yeah,
too?
yeah.
Bro, those are the hardest clubs. It was all old people and,
I
and
thought
young
you did
people.
really good.
Oh, really?
I think
Yeah, I
you
was
did good,
great.
JJ.
Yeah, I was great.
Okay.
Comedy subjective.
Unintelligent Tony, ready for your question.
Okay, uneducated Tony. So let me ask you a question: is because you are, as I say, an educated guy in grounds crew and groundskeeping. If the Earth is flat, how do you explain the crown on a field, like on a football field?
The crown?
You know, if you go on one sideline and you look on another sideline and you put your eye down on the field, there's a little lump.
You mean like a hill?
Well, that's not perfectly flat Earth. They're not like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're not like when they say flat Earth.
Look at this fucking apologist, dumb idiot.
Well, I mean, that's
I got one guy at the
insane. What, you
bar.
think there's no
I
bun? You
got
never
one guy at
walked.
the bar who keeps on telling me,
Polishchuk.
if
But
it's
I wanna know
flat, you can't
Tony's-
dig a hole.
Yeah.
I want to know Tony's your conspiracy
Reasoning.
theory,
What's
like
up?
your number one conspiracy theory.
it's gotta
It's
be
got to be flat Earth, but your reasoning behind
No,
it.
I think it's
No, I
something
like
else.
flat. Yeah, flat's my number one.
Why? Why? Did you not watch a documentary that shows how fucking wrong you people are?
It's all fake, man.
I've seen it all, man. I've seen it all.
I'd like to hear your thoughts on the Denver
I'm
airport.
saying flat.
So explain it though.
No, yeah, I don't-
why?
Okay,
why-
let's because we haven't had a flat earther call in a while. Give me the most compelling case for a flat Earth.
There's no observed curvature. I mean, simple as that.
From space,
I don't know
there
what
is.
JJ has
Space
to say
is
to retort
fake,
that,
dummy.
but
Oh,
there's no
right.
curvature.
So
Wait,
space
fair
is
enough.
fake,
So
right?
space is fake?
I think so. I don't think we went to the moon. I don't know about you
But
guys,
that-
but yeah,
I-
I do not think so.
There is possible
But then
cases
where is
that
the
you're
moon
right.
that we look at?
No, that we didn't.
believe
go,
in the
he
moon?
believes
I know
in
that-
the moon.
It looks great right now.
So what is the moon?
Whoa,
then?
don't talk
Is
about her
just
like that, but I agree.
I don't know what he
I have a theory that really flat Earth like came out of almost like Truman Show, like the movie Truman Show. I feel like there was like flat Earth that's probably like super
I
fringe. It really popped up in the last maybe 10 years or so. When did you get into flat Earth, Tony?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having
2020.
2020. Yeah.
Wow.
But a little earlier than that, I was kind of toying with it for like 2 years, listening to Eddie Bravo a bunch and everything, and then finally 2020 is when I went flat.
So what? Okay, first of all, Eddie Bravo is super entertaining, but what got you? What?
Yeah,
what,
I think he's smart too.
I do think he's
Entertaining.
smart.
Send you
Entertaining.
videos
He's
of
an,
him.
yeah, he's entertaining. But what made you? Was it during COVID, during the lockdown? You're like, they're locking us down, and now it's fucking. Like, was
Why
that
is he
it?
Jamaican?
Yeah. What was that accent?
Earth flat, man.
I mean,
literally
are they
talking
telling
to
the
him.
truth? Are they telling the truth on most
My name's
stuff, or are they lying about most stuff
I
nowadays?
agree.
Which
Yeah.
one would you
Me
vote
not
for?
see the boomba clack curve.
Come on.
I do think that's
I
a
just know which
factor
way
where
I would vote.
I agree with him.
Like, I think there was a lot of people are like, they're lying to us about all these things.
A lot of things.
And then they're like, well, then the Earth must be flat too.
Okay, but
'cause-
wait. If there is no space, where's the moon?
No, okay, yeah.
Hold on, let Tony answer this.
It's such a mystery. It's such a mystery. You know, who knows? I mean,
what is
I
the
just know
moon?
we did not go there. You can tell that just by looking at it.
So what is the moon? Is the moon like is it just like a light?
Sure,
That's
it's great to
that
be
they're
here.
cut- like,
Looking
is it like a
forward to
lamp
talking
in the
about
sky?
Las Vegas shooting, Mandalay Bay. And
It
Las
is really
Vegas Boulevard.
interesting, and I don't know. I cannot explain what the moon is, but okay. So they have in Farmer's Almanac. You ever opened up a Farmer's Almanac
not.
or anything?
Not that
So they have these certain pages. They have these certain pages in
Sure,
the Farmer's
yeah.
Almanac. It tells you like the best days to cut your hair according to the moon. Best
Oh.
days to trim
Yeah,
trees.
that's fine. Happy.
Best day to like germinate a plant and everything. Like it has to be like legitimate for them to put it in that book. Like if it totally didn't work, farmers would like.
All right, and we are back. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for waiting patiently. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the bathhouse. I know some of you just hate JJ. But anyways, it sounds like some of you could hear us in the break. Whatever. I don't know why that does that because I definitely turned it off, but whatever. We are back. John Cullen joining me. Independent journalist, is that your preferred
Independent investigative journalist. Yeah.
independent investigative journalist? So, tell people about yourselves for those who don't know. I think a lot of people do know you, but for those that do not, please tell people about yourself.
Sure. So I was a semi-retired IT executive that was living in Thailand when the Vegas shooting took place. And the Vegas shooting took place October 1st, 2017, in Las Vegas time, and 10 p.m. roughly. And that's noon in Thailand. So where I was at the time when it happened was the middle of the day. And so I was watching Drudge Report, Facebook, Twitter, and getting like real-time, video feeds. And it was kind of wild. So this is 7 years ago, this past October. And almost immediately, it hit me that something's wrong here. The narrative that we're being fed, even by Joe Lombardo that night, seemed wrong. And I dove into it for whatever reason, and 8 days later, I saw a helicopter flying the wrong way and realized this was an aerial attack. And I got goosebumps. The next day, I saw a second helicopter, and the next day, I saw a third. And it basically changed my life. And
Sent you down this path.
Yeah, and I became investigative journalist. I published 250 videos on YouTube just on the Las Vegas shooting. And then when COVID hit, it turns out the system that Johns Hopkins was using to map the pandemic was software that I led the team that built this application when I was at Oracle. So many years ago, I worked at Oracle, and one of the projects was building the ESRI mapping system. So when I saw that Johns Hopkins was using that, I was like, oh, this is interesting.
Sure.
And so I dove into the COVID story, the COVID narrative, and I believe I may have uncovered that COVID was a CIA operation to cover up another pandemic.
A different one.
A different one.
Yeah.
And then we had the Butler assassination. And then we had the Butler assassination. And I kind of put a couple bits of evidence together and realized there's another shooter. And sure enough, the testimony from the Secret Service counter snipers is that they were being shot at, and that confirms my ballistic findings. So I've gone sort of from major cover-up to major cover-up to major cover-up. These are kind of black swan type stories.
Sure.
These are, these things don't happen that often, if ever, right? So the Vegas shooting is how I got into it. I kind of, cut my teeth with that. Made a lot of lousy videos in the early days.
Got kicked off of YouTube?
Got kicked off of YouTube within weeks. Interestingly, my YouTube channel was taken down the same day as the first posts from QAnon.
The very same day?
A day.
Do you have any theories behind that? Do you just part of you subscribe to just coincidence? Do you have you tied these kind of...
Hard to say. There's a lot of coincidences for sure, but my channel was getting a lot of traction and people were paying attention to it, and they just took it down. No warnings, no strikes, just gone.
What was the reason that they gave you?
You violated community something, and your thing is terminated.
And
it's like that's it, and there's nothing you can. It's gone.
It's just gone. No strikes, nothing.
Gone.
Which I mean, you got to do some. That's the thing is now they've become a little better, but generally they do not.
I learned how to manage the system a little bit better, thanks to James Woods. So James Woods was sued by somebody for defamation of character or something like that, and it turns out that he posted something. I think it was on Twitter. But he put a question mark at the end. And the judge or the jury, whatever, ruled, how could you defame someone with a question?
Right.
In other words, if I say, so what are you, an idiot? It's a question. It's like you could say, no, I'm not an idiot. I think apples are blue. Right? So it's just a question. You can't defame somebody with a question. And so what I did was I started making all the videos questions. Instead of making any kind of declarative statements, I said, what is this? What is that? Do you hear what I hear? Do you hear this? And by asking questions, what I realized was this is the Socratic method. This is how Socrates operated. He used to ask annoying questions to Plato.
Right.
And I was like, well, there's kind of like a genius to this. There's a method to the madness here. So by adopting the James Woods method, it turns out that's the Socratic method. And so I just kept asking annoying questions. Well, it turns out that kind of linked back to my career in IT, because one of the big things that I used to do is something called root cause analysis. And it's part of like Six Sigma stuff. And so when you go to meet with like a big bank or the New York Stock Exchange or something like that, they typically have a problem. And the problem is typically big and expensive. And so you're trying to figure out, well, what's the root cause of the problem? And it turns out that getting to the root cause can be rather simple, or at least you can get 90% of the way, 95% of the way there with pretty simple stuff. And it really turns out that you just have to act like a 3-year-old. And by that, I mean, you just have to keep saying why.
Why? Yeah. Just over and over again.
Why?
So,
right, so
to the Las Vegas shooting. So, the story that we're told is that lone gunman, Stephen Paddock, over gambling debts, essentially, or not even gambling debts. He just was running bad. He didn't like the way the casinos were treating him, essentially, just snapped and went and just shot up this country music concert in a parking lot, right? Obviously, you don't believe that. That's safe to say. So I guess let's get the story, I guess, from how you've kind of come to believe it. And why Stephen Paddock? Who was Stephen Paddock? Did he have any relation to anybody who might be of any importance?
We'll come back to that. So let's come back to him in a minute. But so I have to kind of warn your audience. I have Asperger's, so I'm like on the spectrum of autism. And it's kind of maybe the most benign type of autism. 2 of my 3 daughters also have it. So, one of them can't speak, and one of them is like me with the Asperger's thing. So it's like an OCD type thing. It's like there's a certain obsessive compulsive type behavior that's highly focused, right? So when I started looking at the Vegas shooting, one of the things about Asperger's is like beliefs, the B word. We don't really have beliefs. You have to show us. You have to show us evidence of something.
Right. Right.
And so if you show me evidence of something, well, then I might formulate beliefs, and I'll give you an example. So with the Las Vegas shooting, the first thing that I'm listening to all the gunfire, and I'm like, this is one guy? Is one guy from a window? Why is it so loud over at the Tropicana?
Sure.
So I sent you a couple video clips that maybe we can share with the audience. One of which is the first one, is constant, non-stop gunfire and isolation on Paddock's room on the window. 32135 is the suite. So Paddock rents two rooms, 32135 and 32134, which is the little adjoining room. There's like an interconnecting door between the rooms, and it's just like a single room. It's a nothing special room next to his suite, but it has the interconnecting door, and he's got both of them.
Right. This is the first video you sent me?
It's the one that I think it.
There's
I think it is the first
nonstop gunfire, or there's one where it's like the nonstop gunfire.
But I want to warn the audience. Yeah, the nonstop gunfire. So I want to warn the audience, though. This is pretty intense. This is 100 seconds. So 60 seconds plus another 40, right? So it's almost 2 minutes of constant gunfire from the Vegas shooting. Now, you're not going to see anyone shot. You're not going to see any bloodshed. You're not going to see any gore. But it's intense. I mean, you're going to hear it nonstop. And this is a good time to put on headphones if you're not wearing headphones, because you'll hear sort of the 3D aspect of it, sort of binaurally or whatever. Sure. But the important thing is, I'm trying to isolate the room 32135, because what I'm looking for is muzzle flash. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for some evidence. So there's gunfire coming from the room. And so let's run this, and you tell me at what point you see gun flash coming from room 32135, because other footage where I do have coming from 32134, plenty of it, in fact. All right, so that's like not an issue. But this footage, we're going to isolate 32135, and let's see if you or the audience can see any muzzle flash coming from that room.
Oh, you know what? Hold on a second.
What's happened?
It
says YouTube is down.
I don't know what just happened.
I tend to have that effect on stuff.
Hold on. I don't know why, because I have internet.
I may have said something that violated community here.
Yeah, I don't know. Odd. Okay, well, it looks like the stream has not been taken down. I mean, I adjusted all the bitrate and everything, so this should not be an issue. CPU's all normal. Everything seems to be normal.
Producer Mark says we are good now.
Yeah, I think there's some. I think there's a producer says we're good now. Okay. Okay. Let's play this video.
Yeah.
And let's hope that the YouTube gods are kind on us.
I'll be nice.
Here we go.
I'll be Higgins.
Oh, hold on. We're not getting the audio from this for some reason, which is odd, because this should play the audio. Hold on. I think people can probably hear it. And that's what, a helicopter that was circled right there?
Apparently, right? I mean, it appears that's what it is. It's certainly not a jet aircraft. And what I did was I went to flight radar and tracked all this stuff.
Okay, well that's... So I apologize for the audio thing. I'm having some technical issues here. I don't know why it's not detecting the audio for some reason, but I think people get the gist there. Yeah, that. So essentially, there's you were highlighting there's a few unidentified aircraft, I guess safe to say.
And we don't see any muzzle flash coming from the hotel room.
Right.
No,
none.
Zero.
Which it would look like fireworks.
Should. I mean, right? Rapid fire, and we see nothing. And the thing that's odd is in other footage, we see the individual shots that were taken from the other room. The other room, somebody's firing like a 308, like a bolt action. And so they're taking individual 308 shots from that other window. And that other window is legitimately broken. And we see the muzzle flash coming from the other room. So it's like if there's only 8 shots coming from the little room, and we can see a bunch of them, we can see 4, 5, 6 of those 8. Why don't we see any muzzle flash coming from all this racket going on?
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be kind of evident? Well,
have you done a count of how many shots were fired?
No, somebody else did. But I think the person who did may have been part of the GEC covering up stuff, because the number they came up with was very close to the number that the LVMPD counted on the floor. And the problem there is that was 1,057 brass casings, something like that. And somebody came up with a number like there were 1,100 shots fired or something, so that there would be 50 brass casings missing. But the problem with that is you just heard 100 seconds of gunfire. And in 100 seconds, almost 500 people were hit. And some were hit twice. Now, a lot of the people who are watching this have served in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and I want them to, think this through for a second. 100 seconds is 1 minute 40 seconds. 1 minute 40 seconds of gunfire over the course of an 11-minute window.
From one person.
Set that aside for a second. I'm just going to do some math with the audience for a second. So the math is, if we have 100 seconds of gunfire and 413 people are injured by gunfire, and 59, call it 60 to make the math easier, are shot and killed. That means there's almost 500 people who are shot in 100 seconds. That means that every second, almost 5 people are being shot.
Yeah.
That's insane. It
seems improbable.
Right. It's never happened. Like, that's only happened like on the beaches of Normandy or something. It's like that hasn't happened in Iraq. None of the guys who served in Iraq or Afghanistan have ever been in a situation where 500 guys got shot in an 11-minute window. Again, what that means is 5 people are being shot every second.
Yeah. And did obviously this is all allegedly or whatever, but did Stephen Paddock have any military training? Because you'd think if they're saying this is this one guy
Let's go to the next video, because the next video makes Stephen Paddock somewhat irrelevant, and you'll start to look at him completely different.
Which video is that? The 3D kind of rendering one, or the other one?
No, the other one. So the other video is going to be body cam footage from inside Stephen Paddock's room by the LVMPD. There's only one guy who has his body cam on. His name is Sergeant Josh Bitsko. He's now a captain. All right, but at the time he was a sergeant and a canine handler. Bitsko has his camera on. But what I found was audio from another guy, from a SWAT guy. And I synchronized the audio. And in this video, what you're going to see and what you're going to hear changes everything.
Yeah.
After they breach the room, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, hopefully the audio works. But if it comes out of for some reason it was coming out of my computer speaker, which it's not supposed to do. But I'll make sure it sounds all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
So the net of this, what you're about to see, are the cops who have breached the room are now talking to a SWAT operator who's outside the building, in the parking lot, I think, of the Luxor, or on the boulevard or something like that. And so the SWAT operators outside are talking to the lieutenant who is inside the suite. This is Lieutenant Corey Mickelson. And that's the guy who's going to be communicating with the guys on the outside. So let's listen to this conversation, because what this basically establishes, this conversation, is that Stephen Paddock didn't shoot anybody. So let's listen to this and you'll see what I mean.
Okay. One moment.
Just confirming that is you guys that's in the broken window that faces the Luxor. We are facing the Luxor. We do not have a broken window. Okay, copy. It looks like you might have another room that has a broken window that also faces the Luxor off that north end. There's a little bit of movement on knowing if it's going to be the curtains or not. I'm going to be working to get a better eye on it. Okay, Jair, we are facing north. We are facing north. Just confirming that is you guys that's in the broken window that faces the Luxor. We are facing the Luxor. We do not have a broken window. Okay, copy. It looks like you might have another room that has a broken window that also faces the Luxor off that north end. There's a little bit of movement on knowing if it's going to be the curtains or not. I'm going to be working to get a better eye on it. Okay, stand by. We've got curtains open on a window that's not broken. We're looking for broken. Okay, it is us. We have the broken window. That's us, Jair. Corey, Todd. Go ahead, Todd. If you can raise a CT, I'll send the contact the hotel if they can turn on one of these elevators and get there quicker. Copy that. Is it? Okay. Sean Mueller, Kevin. They have security down at the elevator base as well. I'm just waiting for you on the 14th.
Now let's talk about the significance of that. If you go back to the beginning of that video,
yeah,
the guy on the outside says, "Is that you guys we see moving around in the broken window?" And Mickelson's like, "What broken window? There's no broken window here facing the Luxor." What that means is the guys on the outside are looking at another room that has a broken window, and there's people milling around in there.
Multiple people.
And he's telling them that. And he says, "Is that you guys?" They go, "No. We don't have them. There's no broken window, and the curtains aren't open." And the guy says, "Well, then you've got another room with a broken window."
And just to be clear, there was only one room with a broken window, which was...
Two.
Oh, there were two. The two adjacent rooms?
Correct. 32-134 and 32-135. Now, the reason is LVMPD is going to end up breaking the window in this room themselves, because if they don't, Stephen Paddock can't be the shooter. In other words, let's go back to that video. Go back to the beginning of this, and let's kind of step through this together. Let's play like the first 10 or 15 seconds and get ready to hit pause. And let me kind of explain the significance of this.
Okay.
We are facing north. So confirming that is you guys that's in the broken window that faces the Luxor. We are facing the Luxor. We do not have a broken window. Okay, copy. It looks like you might have another room that has a broken window that also faces the Luxor off that north end. There's a little bit of movement unknown if it's going to be the curtains or not. I'm going to be working to get a better eye on it.
So let's pause right there. Let's just pause. So what? What? He's like, is that you guys in the broken window? He's like, no. I don't have a broken window. There's no broken window here facing the Luxor.
Were they facing a similar direction or totally different?
Yeah. This room faces the Luxor. It's like but you got to go into the bedroom. Okay. So you open up or behind the couch. You open up the curtains and you face the Luxor. But the windows aren't broken there. So then they send this officer, Brett Brosnahan, goes to the window to see, is the window broken? And he goes behind the curtain and he says, no, it's not, Corey. It's not. No, it's not. And then Corey somehow says, okay, traitor, we've got the broken window. But the window's not broken. Like, Brett Brosnahan doesn't pull the curtain back and go, hey, guys, here we go. Here's the broken window. Careful.
And what room were they in this video?
32135, the big suite.
Okay.
That's supposedly where all the gunfire is coming from. So the guys on the outside are telling him, dude, there's another room with a broken window. And these guys are milling around in here looking at each other and realizing, if the window in here is not broken, how could this guy have shot anybody?
How did the window get broken then? Because the window was broken in that room, though, right?
Window was broken in the morning when the sun came up. So apparently, okay, so now we get into the illusions here. At 12:23 a.m., a podcaster is recording. I forget the guy's name, but I've got the footage. And he's recording, and he's got his selfie thing, and he's holding his thing up, and over his shoulder, the LVMPD blows the window out in 32135. And he captures it accidentally over his shoulder. He has no idea it's happening. And they blow the window. And they send a crew to repair the window in the Four Seasons. And the reason is, who was staying in the Four Seasons? So most people have never associated the Four Seasons with the Las Vegas shooting. It's all Mandalay Bay, Mandalay Bay, Mandalay Bay.
Yeah.
But 3 floors up from Stephen Paddock's room is the Four Seasons. And the Four Seasons at the time was 45% owned by Bill Gates and 45% owned by Al-Walid bin Talal, the wealthiest guy in Saudi Arabia outside of the king or the crown prince, and the single largest investor in Citigroup, single largest investor in Twitter.
He bailed out Citigroup, did he not, in 2008?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And single largest investor in Twitter, single largest investor in Apple. I mean, a lot of, big pieces. So he is the 45% owner of the Four Seasons. And apparently that's where the action was taking place, was upstairs. We see what appears to be the window at the Four Seasons getting blown out at 9:47 p.m. So that's on footage. And then we see the LVMPD blow the window out of this suite at 12:23 a.m.
Now, do they acknowledge that they blew up the window?
Yeah, well, interesting. So, there's this Duper's Delight thing, which is where Lombardo, Sheriff Lombardo at the time, now he's the governor, Sheriff Lombardo goes to the microphone, I think at 1:30 in the morning, and says, any explosions that you've heard, that's us. That's us breaching the room and breaching the doors, and we had to do, breach. So if you hear any explosions and stuff, that's us. And basically, they sweep under the rug the fact that they just, took a shotgun or whatever and blew the window out. So, in other words, things are happening after 10:05, 10:15 p.m. If they blow the window out at 12 a.m. and somebody says, yeah, we heard explosions after midnight, they need that to just fall by the way. So, that can't be part of the story. And Lombardo addresses it. He says, any explosions you're hearing, whatever, that's us. That's us breaching, whatever. So don't worry, there's no more explosions. The guy's dead. But the true story is, when Brett Brosnahan walks to the window to check behind the curtain, shouldn't there be broken glass all over the floor like we see in the FIT photographs and the FIT report? Mm-hmm. They show a photograph of broken glass and brass shell casings all over the floor and a hammer. Did he just kick the hammer in the video? Was he walking on broken glass and stepping on brass shell casings as he was walking to the window? And then why was it such a mystery which window they were looking for if there's a whole bunch of broken glass on the floor?
And wouldn't there be broken glass all on the ground outside if you're smashing the window out? Like, you would think that if he smashed the window out, people would be like, yeah, glass was falling on me as I was walking.
There was. I have footage of glass falling. So the other window was legitimately broken. Okay. 32 and 34, legitimately broken. But the LVMPD kind of sets their own trap. They tell you only 8 rounds are fired from that room. We found 8 brass casings, 308. 2 shots were at the fuel tank. The other 6 missed. So they put a stake in the ground. They just accounted for all 8 shots. They did that, not me, right? So the LVMPD tells you, we went into the little adjoining room. We found 8 spent brass casings, 308. 2 of the shots hit the fuel tank. The other 6 shots missed. Okay. What about the thousands of shots that hit 500 people? That would have come from the other room then. So when Brett Brosnahan goes to the window to check the curtain, there's not glass on the floor. He's not walking on broken glass.
There's nothing?
No. What? Go back to the video. Let's play the video again. When he goes to the window, to the curtain, is he walking on broken glass and spent brass casings and going, hey, guys, it's probably over here where there's a ton of broken glass and the curtain should be blowing.
Right.
But it's not. Right?
Right. You want to play from the beginning or where we left off?
Where we left off. I think a couple seconds later, Brett Brosnahan's going to go to the curtain. Watch him go to the curtain.
Confirming that is you guys that's in the broken window that faces the left floor. You're facing the left floor? We do not have a broken window. Okay, copy. It looks like you might have another room that has a broken window that also faces the left floor off that north end. There's a little bit of movement unknown if it's going to be the curtains or not. I'm going to be working to get a better eye on it. Okay, stand by. We've got curtains open on a window that's not broken. We're looking for broken. Okay, it is us. We have the broken window. That's us, Jair. Corey, Todd. Go ahead, Todd.
So that final bit of audio, we've got the broken window, that's us, Trader. You can pause. That's good enough right there. So the net of this is, when Brett Brosnahan goes to the curtain and he checks, he says, no, it's not, no, it's not, no, it's not. Then the audio you hear right after that, okay, Trader, we've got the broken window, that was added after the fact. They went into a studio and added that audio because what you see playing out here is Brett Brosnahan goes to the window, checks and says, no, it's not broken. If they release that as is, you don't have a shooter.
Right.
So they forged that audio. Now, the next thing they do is you notice at his feet, as he's walking to the broken window, supposedly, there should be a bunch of glass and spent brass casings and a hammer on the floor. but there's not.
None of that, yeah.
And if the window was broken, this would be a good time to pull the curtain back and say, hey, guys, here's the window. Careful, right?
Yeah, it's a crime scene.
Right. Don't step on all these brass casings or kick the hammer over here.
Yeah. Now, were there officers or whatever, SWAT, were they in the other room as well at the same time?
There were other guys milling around. The only SWAT guy in the room at that time, I think, is Brett Brosnahan and the guy who appears to have shot Stephen Paddock, which is Levi Hancock.
Okay. By the way, phone lines are open, everybody. 1-888-949-2969. If you have any questions for John, call in. I'm sure a lot of you have some questions. So, okay. So you've kind of established that the story that we've been kind of told is not true. So what? Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah. So here's what it looks like.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so let's look at the scene. Let's look at the scene that we're looking at here. So we just watched this video clip. Imagine you're one of the cops who just followed the guy who breached, right? So the guy breaches the door, blows the door with those charges, right? And there's like 6 guys that go into that suite together. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what's waiting for them in there. It could be a team of ISIS guys, right? 8 guys with machine guns. They don't know what's going on. But nothing's happened for an hour. They breach the door, and the first thing that happens is Levi Hancock fires his weapon. He says, hands. And we hear bang. And then I think O'Donnell says, good shot. So who did Levi Hancock shoot? That's number 1. Number 2, we know that Stephen Paddock had 3 women checked into the room with him. Joanne, Katie, and Laura were registered to the room, which means you got to show ID at the front desk. In order to get a key and have your name on the room, you got to show ID in Vegas.
Yeah, in Vegas, yeah, you got to show ID everywhere.
Yeah. So 3 women were registered to the room, Katie, Laura, and Joanne, with Stephen Paddock. No mention of them. Right? Nobody knows about that. So
do we know who they are after the fact?
The LVMPD does, and no one's filed a FOIA request to find out their last names, but we know their first names. It's on body cam. It's a body cam conversation, and we've got official LVMPD body cam, and they redacted the last names. So it says Laura, boop, Joanne, boop, Katie, boop. So it's redacting the last name. So they've got it. And they were counting on nobody paying attention to this stuff, and I've been reporting it, and none of the major networks seem to think that's interesting that there were 3 women checked into the room with Stephen Paddock. But he's dead.
That's the first I've ever heard of it. I know he had a wife, but who was...
Oh, shit, he kicked her out. He sent her to the Philippines because he thought he had a new girlfriend. And he was set up. This is a honeypot, right? He's set up by some hot 40-something-year-old woman who's working for the people who set this thing up. He was targeted.
And so who are those people, I guess? Sure.
So you can't just jump to the end.
Sure. Yeah. Right? We got to go.
All right.
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
Right. So you got so now you're like, well, wait a second. If there's no gunfire coming from the room, and this guy's dead on the floor, and no gunfire except for 8 shots from the little room next door, where the hell's all this gunfire coming from? The roof of the Excalibur? The roof of the Tropicana? Where's all this gunfire coming from if it's not coming from his hotel room? And that was what I set off to find on October 1st, October 2nd. And it took 8 days. And after 8 days of reviewing footage, I saw helicopters. I don't know what the hell, where's this guy going? They're going the wrong way. That's not the way the tour helicopters go.
And do they even operate at night, the tour helicopters?
Yeah, they go out as late as 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night. So they do go out late. But what I did was there was another guy publishing stuff on YouTube using Flight Radar 24. And so I said, ooh, this is interesting. So I go to Flight Radar 24 and I signed up for an account. And I started going back in time. I went back 6 weeks and looked at every Sunday to see what a Sunday night look like in Vegas. Give me like a baseline understanding of what does it normally look like? What's going on here at 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday? Well, I look at 6 different weekends, get a pretty good understanding of what goes on, and then I watch the October 1st thing. And whoa, what the hell is going on here? Maverick helicopter flies way out into the west, almost out by Red Rocks. They fly way out west and come all the way back around with a big entourage, like 7 aircraft on flight radar, depart at 10:13 p.m. There's still gunfire going on. It's like, where the hell's Maverick going in the middle of all this? And then I found the air traffic control audio where they're talking to Maverick as Maverick flies over the venue. So piece by piece by piece, we start putting this thing together, and I can account for Maverick. I see Maverick at 9:47 p.m. I see Maverick depart at 10:13, but in between, Maverick's on the ground. There is no Maverick in the sky. Same thing with Sundance. Sundance lands at 10:05 p.m.
And the shooting was at what time?
10:05. Starts at 10:05 and lasts for 11 minutes. Goes to 10:17. So, but Sundance landed at 10:05. So Sundance is down. Maverick doesn't take off until 10:13. So who are all these helicopters I'm seeing flying around up there if it's not the tour helicopters? And I'm looking at flight radar and I'm looking at the video. And I'm looking at the flight radar and I'm looking at the video. And in the video, I see the helicopter flying. And I go to flight radar. There's nothing on flight radar. Nothing. Like, well, but I see it in the video. How it... Oh, they don't have their transponders on. These are military aircraft flying with no ADS-B transponders. These guys are dark.
I guess that would be the only explanation, yeah.
Right. So now I'm like, whoa. Who's got helicopters and is shooting people in Vegas? And the first assumption I kind of had to come in with was my first straw man hypothesis can't be that it's the FBI or the CIA. In other words, you don't go to train in Quantico, go train at the farm or whatever, and then one day they say, all right, guys, we need you to hop in some helicopters and go shoot girls in the face. We need you to shoot about 500 people.
Just innocent people at a concert.
Yeah, I don't think anybody who took the oath and whatever is going to be up for that. So, I mean, I'm sure there's a couple kooks in the CIA that would be, but it's a tough sell, man, to go shoot 500 Americans and you took an oath and you carry a badge and you're going to go shoot girls in the head? I don't know. So I kind of set that aside. I said, if I can't find anything else, then we'll look at some rogue faction of the FBI or CIA. But it's hard for me to believe it's one of our guys doing this stuff. So I'm thinking, well, who are the usual suspects? Venezuela? How would Venezuela get a bunch of helicopters up here? So who else would it,
undetected?
Yeah, so who else would it be? Like El Chapo? Was the chairman of MGM Mandalay Bay dating El Chapo's daughter? It's like, who's got helicopters near Vegas that can show up with a bunch of guys and start shooting people? Like North Korea? How the hell would North Korea get a bunch of helicopters anywhere near Vegas?
Yeah, impossible.
So you start going through the list of usual suspects. And then you're like, oh, Saudi Arabia? Uh-oh. Yep. We're selling Saudi Arabia helicopters and we're training their pilots in Mesa, Arizona, 262 miles as the crow flies from Las Vegas. So wait a second. You're telling me there's 24 trainers at the Boeing helicopter facility that belong to Saudi Arabia, and we've been training their pilots in Arizona, 250 miles from Mandalay Bay. Yep. Now, the Saudi Arabian National Guard is the king's private army in Saudi Arabia. In other words, this is not the Saudi Arabian army. This is the Saudi Arabian National Guard. They are his private army to protect him.
Was he there?
No, but his son, MBS, appears that he may have been there. MBS is the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. He will inherit the throne and become the wealthiest man in the world when his dad passes away. And at the time, in October of 2017, I think he was 31 years old. And so Al-Walid bin Talal and Maiteb bin Abdullah and Mohammed bin Nayef and Mukran bin Abdulaziz, all these guys are like, what do you mean you're going to turn the whole kingdom over to a 31-year-old? We're all direct descendants of Ibn Saud. We're all in our 60s and 70s. And you're going to turn this whole thing over to a 31-year-old? He doesn't know anything. We're all been waiting for this our whole lives. And Mukran bin Abdulaziz was crown prince and was pushed aside. Mohammed bin Nayef was crown prince and was pushed aside. Maiteb bin Abdullah was the son of King Abdullah. He never was crown prince. Didn't get a shot. And then an article appears in The Guardian 2 years before the Vegas shooting, basically saying, yeah, this MBS thing, this isn't going to go over. This isn't going to fly. You know, what? Guys, you can't just do a story where you tell everybody you're planning a coup d'etat, and that's what the story is. So it's a story in The Guardian about the Saudi unrest, and basically it's 2 years prior to the Vegas shooting, and it's almost the admission we're planning a coup d'etat. We're going to get rid of MBS. This isn't going to work out. Well, next thing you know, Jamal Khashoggi is talking about Arab Spring in Saudi Arabia. Well, that didn't work out so well for
him, no. Yeah,
for Muammar Gaddafi. Well, the whole Arab Spring concept, let's bring democracy to a nation that's a it's a kingdom.
Sure, which is what kind of MBS is trying to do now. It seems like not full democracy, but they say that he's trying to kind of liberalize.
He's right. He's trying to make it more competitive.
So they had a case at the time that because he kind of is doing that now to a degree.
Well, that's the thing. So the old guard was livid. They're like, what? He's letting women drive. He's doing concerts in the desert. He's out of his mind. This is not Dubai. This is, right? So we are the keepers of, the holy sites, Mecca, right? What's he doing? He's doing EDM concerts, and it's like, so to the old guard, MBS, it's like blasphemy. And the Wahhabis, right? They're the ones that cut people's heads off. They're the real hardcore guys. So to them, this is nuts. And it seems there's a faction within the Saudi Arabian National Guard that is sympathetic to the old guard and says, yeah, this 31,
yeah,
this isn't going to work out. Yeah, this isn't going to work out.
So you're saying that essentially, potentially, that this was an assassination attempt of MBS in Las Vegas, and they were willing to just accept that amount of collateral damage with no potential repercussions from the United States government?
I know the
9/11 story obviously was their kind of.
So so there's the connection. It seems it's the same families. These are royalty, Saudi royalty, except now it's 20 years later or 16 years later, and it's the sons. So Mansour bin Mukran didn't make it to the Ritz-Carlton November 5th. November 5th was the night of the long sword in Saudi Arabia. Al-Walid bin Talal was arrested. Bakr bin Laden was arrested. He's the head of Bin Laden Construction Group. They were rounded up at the Ritz-Carlton, placed under arrest, and interrogated by Blackwater. For corruption?
In America?
No, at the Ritz-Carlton Riyadh.
Oh, in Riyadh, okay.
So November 5th, an invitation goes out that there's going to be a big event at the Ritz-Carlton, and King Salman is inviting you to be there. So you're expected to be there. Excuse me. And the entertainment, I think, is Ciara or Shakira. One or the other. It's either Ciara. Yeah, it's
probably
Ciara,
got paid
Shakira.
$5 million for it.
Exactly. And they come to do the thing and shake around, and everybody goes crazy. So that's the invitation. Everybody shows up at the Ritz-Carlton, and they lock the doors. And they tell everybody, you're under arrest. This is Eric Prince from Blackwater. He and his men are going to be talking to you. This is unprecedented. This is like arrest.
This is 1 month after.
Exactly. Not even 5 weeks later. So it's November 5th of 2017. They round up everybody. Mansour bin Mukran, which is Mukran bin Abdulaziz's son, doesn't even make it to the Ritz-Carlton. His helicopter is shot out of the sky, and his entire entourage is killed. I believe he was the source of the Guardian article.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, this whole thing's crazy. Let me take a call right here because we have a few people.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
Waiting right now. We're gonna go to Zach first off. And if you're on hold, just stay on hold. We will get to you. Zach, are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Great. You're on.
I wanted to ask. Hi, John. I'm very much enjoying the conversation. I'm curious if John could talk about the security guard who appeared on Ellen to deliver what was the official narrative at the time of what was said to have occurred. And secondary part of my question is I basically saw a thread on Twitter quite a while back about how Ellen is essentially a conduit from the State Department for from like the Pentagon to the wine moms of America. And I can send a copy of that Twitter thread over to you guys if you wouldn't mind taking a look at that. But yeah, that's my question.
All right, so it's kind of two parts. So one is the Ellen part, and the other is the Jesus Campos part. So let's talk about the Ellen part first. Ellen has a huge contract with MGM. There's Ellen slot machines in the casinos.
Does MGM own Mandalay Bay?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so MGM is the Luxor, Mandalay Bay, the MGM Grand, the Mansion. I mean, it's up and down the strip. It's a whole bunch. It's basically Bellagio. It's everything but Caesar's Palace and the Venetian properties, basically. Those are the three big entities. So they own a lot of stuff. And, so she is under contract to perform at their venues. So she could be making $25 million a year from MGM to do 5 nights.
Yeah.
Right. And she's, and they've got the slot machines in the casino with Ellen. They got a whole contract with her. So when they say, hey, we need you to help out with this shooting thing, she's like, yeah, what do you want me to do? And they say, yeah, you're going to have the security guy on. That's fine. Put the security guy on. Fine. How many slot machines we have? How many millions am I making today from you guys? One more time.
She's a team player.
Pull the handle, baby. Pull the handle. One more time. She's getting paid, man. She's getting paid millions of dollars by these people, by MGM. By the way, same with Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's under contract with MGM. Or I was at the time. right? So you start wondering, why is nobody saying anything? Everybody's under contract with these guys to perform a certain number of nights per year at their venues for serious money, big money.
Big money.
All right, so that's the Ellen part. Let's talk about Jesus Campos. What the hell's Jesus Campos doing up there? All right, so once you understand the big picture here and that this is an assassination attempt on MBS at the Four Seasons, you then start to realize, all right, so what that means is if you don't speak Arabic, you've got nothing to do with this. The guy from Australia, nothing to do. If you don't speak Arabic, you know nothing about this. Nothing. Okay? So now we get to Jesus Campos. What the hell's he doing up there? Well, turns out Jason Aldean's DJ, the DJ for this thing, is a guy named DJ Silver. DJ Silver and his wife are there, staying 2 doors down from Stephen Paddock, 32132. And the room across the hall was DJ Silver's Aunt Mary, or his wife's Aunt Mary. Aunt Mary was there to help take care of their baby. So they've got a room for Aunt Mary and the baby, or, the two of them, DJ Silver, his wife, and the baby, and Aunt Mary's got the room across the hall. Aunt Mary's got the baby in one room. She's in the other room across the hall, so it's like 32134 and 32135 across the hall from each other. And she puts that little hooky thing that you use to lock the door, the thing that swings on the pivot.
Yeah, a little lock.
She puts that and then closes the door so the door is ajar so she can hear the baby. And what she doesn't know is that the door ajar alarm is going to go off down in the security room. You can't leave a door ajar in Vegas. Can't do that. And so when you prop the door open, within a certain number of minutes, they get a door ajar alarm downstairs. And they send Jesus Campos up to check on the door ajar alarm on Aunt Mary's door, DJ Silver's babysitter, 2 doors down from Stephen Paddock. Jesus Campos comes up. They see him on the camera. There's like that baby camera thing on the cart there. They see him, and somebody opens fire through the doors of the suite. There's 30 gunshot holes in those doors. Somebody shot at Jesus Campos through the doors. And
at what time?
Before, somewhere in that 10:05 time frame. Okay. Somewhere right before the shooting started or during the shooting or whatever. So, and then Stephen Schuck comes up there and says, hey man, there's gunfire up here. So they're shooting through the hallway doors or something like that. And whoever it is that's doing that then goes up the fire escape stairs. They go up because their real target is 3 floors up on the 35th floor, 35, 36, 37, 38. That's the Four Seasons. And what's interesting is as the cops are milling around in the suite, like the footage we just looked at, there's a suitcase of AK-47 magazines that they comment on. And anybody who's watching who shoots, it's like AK-47 magazines. Why would Stephen Paddock bring a suitcase of AK-47 magazines and no AK-47s? There's no AK-47s found in the room, certainly not in the FIT report that the LVMPD shared with us. So where's the AK-47s? Oh, that's what they took upstairs, because that's what they're most familiar with, not AR-15s. There was an entire suitcase of AK-47 loaded magazines. That's like 75 pounds. And no AK-47s? And anybody who shoots is like, you never go to the range with a whole bunch of magazines for a gun that you're not bringing to the range. Right? So if you shoot...
Yeah, why would you?
Makes no sense. They're heavy. What the hell? Why would you bring a whole bunch of magazines? Let alone a suitcase full. Why would you haul a whole suitcase full of AK-47 magazines with you if there's no AK-47? So Jesus Campos gets shot in the calf by a round that went through the front door of the suite first. So that's what happened to that guy. And Ellen just does whatever she's asked, so that's that story.
Yeah, I just posted the thread, a link to the thread in the chat if people want to see it.
Okay. Yeah, another caller, another question.
No. He's still on the line. I just wanted to let people know, but no, you can finish the thought there, John.
No, that's pretty much a story. I mean, so
yeah,
Jesus Campos gets shot in the calf.
And he only got shot one time from 30 shots.
Well, again, they're shooting blind through the door. Yeah, right. So yeah, he's lucky he didn't get one in the face.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Zach. We're gonna let you go. Do you have anything else you want? Okay. Do you have? Okay. Thanks, Zach. All right. Let's take another question here. This caller requested to be anonymous, so we got no name. Hello. You're on Low Value Mail. Who am I speaking with?
Yeah, the name is Scroat.
Hey, what's up, Scroat?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Yeah, I've been listening to you for a minute now. You seem like you really, did a lot of research on this. A few things you didn't mention. I think I didn't hear you say about John Pelletier. Was also, after he was the guy at Las Vegas, he was moved to Lahaina in Maui. Did you know this?
Yeah. So he's not really that significant a player in the Las Vegas shooting. So again, most people don't really know what his role was. And in the video that you just saw in the suite, he's not in the room. So the key guy in the room is Corey Mickelson, right? Brett Brosnahan's the guy that goes to the window. So the question.
Listen, what I'm trying to say, right? This is a pattern. And well, first of all, just so you know, like every witness that went against the narrative was, wound up dead very, very soon afterwards.
Who told you that?
Know this?
Who told you that?
I read it.
Who wrote it? Who wrote the article? Who wrote the article?
I don't know.
The FBI.
I trust it,
The FBI. You know why?
Why? So they don't want people to go against the narrative?
Yeah. Who the hell would write a story that 7 people who were at the Vegas shooting mysteriously died? Who would write that?
Well, hold on. Okay, listen. I've seen the witness testimonies. Like, I've seen online videos of people saying, what had happened to them. First of all, then I'll see that video. It will no longer be on the internet. You can't find it. I know that the CIA said, they do psyops, but I don't see why they don't want this to be a thing. They also don't seem like they care so much anymore. Like the anomalies of this is a pattern, and
well, you were asking about Pelletier. So let me tell you about Pelletier. Pelletier in Las Vegas was the commander of the SWAT team. All right, so there were 39 Zebra guys at the time of the shooting. Zebra 1 through 39. Zebra 1 is the most experienced guy on the team, and Levi Hancock was Zebra 20. So there were 19 guys on the SWAT team with more experience than Levi Hancock. Where were all of those guys, number one? All right, so that's that part. Right.
I mean, I think there's a lot of people that are used and a lot of people that are, pulling the strings. But I mean, okay,
So Pelletier, back to Pelletier.
Like
well, you asked me about Pelletier.
And just to be sorry, let me just.
I was trying to make a point that this is much bigger than this one shooting, and it's much bigger than 9/11, and I don't think it's the Arabs, and. This rabbit hole goes deep. I would say, it goes pretty far. Did you hear about the ICE officer suicide?
All right. So here's the thing. I don't really care what you think. I care what the evidence.
I would say I know.
Okay. So the
this
evidence.
Is stuff I know.
Yeah. Hold on. Let him speak. Caller. Let him speak.
Yeah. So let's cut this guy off. I'm done with this guy. So the net of this is we've got helicopters in the Boeing factory that are being delivered to Saudi Arabia that guys are training on. So when the caller says, I don't think it was the Saudis, you need to present better evidence than I have presented. And you don't have that. So that's what I mean. What you think is irrelevant. I don't care what you think. You could say, I think it's the French.
Right.
Okay. Well, you have to show some evidence of this, my friend. You don't just get to say, I think it was the guys from Ethiopia. Well, based on what?
Right.
You have to show us some evidence if you want to counter my thesis. All right, so that's something called inductive reasoning. If you want to counter what I'm suggesting here, you have to show better evidence than what I'm showing. And nobody's been able to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, it is interesting that they kind of very quickly just wrapped up the whole story and they just go, this is just one guy.
Yeah.
So, and it's over.
Same thing with the shooting in Butler. I mean, they wrapped that thing up and we're done. Let's go back to Pelletier, because a lot of people want to know about this Pelletier guy.
And he's the guy who was the police chief in the Maui fires?
In Maui, right. So is this relevant? And the answer is no. It's not relevant at all. Why? Because none of the cops in Las Vegas have any idea what's going on other than the forging of the evidence after the fact and, breaking the window, dumping brass on the floor, stuff like that. They don't even know it's a helicopter attack.
Right,
okay?
Of course.
All right? They don't know that. Like, none of the cops out in front of the building are saying, hey, I think it's a helicopter. Nobody realizes it's a helicopter attack.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, Pelletier's not even there. So this is kind of the key thing is, so everybody's like, well, Pelletier, he's not there. He's not in the room. He's not really playing a role here. He's the head of SWAT, and he's the head of the K-9 team. So Josh Bitsko reports to him. David Newton reports to him. Okay, but he's not there. He's not in the room. So he's not really participating in any of this unless he comes in later and says, okay, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to break the glass window. We're going to dump a bunch of this. And maybe, but I don't have evidence of that.
Right.
What I do have evidence is these guys are in the room and an hour later the window's breaking, and I have that on video. Do I have any evidence Pelletier has any idea what's going on? That's 12:30 at night. I don't know that he has a clue what's going on.
Right.
And then
he might be sleeping.
And then there's a fire in Maui and the winds are 85 miles an hour. So again, Pelletier doesn't speak Arabic. He's got no idea what's going on. Might he have had something to do with the cover up and breaking the window? And maybe, but so what? Then there's a fire in Maui and they block the wrong roads and the winds are 85. It's like, I don't see a connection here. To me, It's just like.
John, let me ask you something. So there was many people who, I was listening to an interview you did today with a gentleman. There was many people who said that there were shootings inside the casinos. Right? That doesn't get reported in the, official narrative that there was and there were distances from one another, right? Like there were multiple shootings in different casinos. Can you tell me about that?
Well, I think the one that's maybe most notable is the Bellagio. So we've got eyewitnesses at the Bellagio that the front glass doors were shot out. And when you start to realize it was a helicopter attack, you start to realize, well, we could get from the venue of the concert to the Bellagio in less than 60 seconds. Like in 45 seconds, we're going 90 miles an hour. We're there, zoom,
and the Bellagio is a bit of a walk from MGM and Mandalay.
Yeah, it's a mile up the strip.
Yeah.
But at 90 miles an hour in a helicopter, you're there in 30, 40 seconds, and now we're at the Bellagio. So you can fly up and down the strip and just get a couple shots off here, get a couple shots off there. Now nobody knows what's going on. There's gunfire here, there's gunfire there. And that's what you see on the Las Vegas shooting map. You'll see that people were reporting gunfire from 911 calls all up and down the strip. Well, if the guys are in helicopters, that's pretty easy to do, right? Bop, 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 as we fly up and down. That kind of explains it. That's why it's not such a big mystery once you realize it's an aerial attack.
Right. So, I mean, we obviously don't even have enough time, it feels like, to scratch the surface on this. But so if they're shooting, it seems like they were just spraying bullets. Was there, in your opinion, like you're saying there was a specific target. Was the target anywhere around there? That seems like a crazy thing to we're just going to light up the entire Las Vegas Strip. Just in the hopes that they hit the person they're looking for?
No. So, first of all, something goes on up at the Four Seasons before the shooting outside at 9:47 p.m. Some sort of ballistic event, whether it's gunfire, an explosion, looks to me like a shotgun, and a window up at the Four Seasons gets blown out at 9:47 p.m. before anybody's aware that anything's going on. And we see that on film. So something's happening up there. Did somebody get shot? Did somebody shoot at MBS and miss? I don't know. But something went on upstairs. The people who planned this are the people who used to run the Saudi CIA. Therefore, they know what's called the exfiltration protocol. In other words, they protect this guy like the president. He has an entourage of security guys. It's huge. At some point, if he's at an event, his body man guy is going to say, "Sir, we need to go now." And they evacuate him. The guys who planned the attack are the guys who wrote the exfiltration protocols. They're the former heads of the Saudi CIA. So they know exactly what the exfiltration protocols are. Create complete bedlam outside the hotel. Police, sirens, gunfire, screaming.
So this was kind of the
flush him out of the building. So they're trying to flush him out of the building, and then they want to attack his motorcade. They've got like 5 helicopters up there getting ready to kill this guy. So they're trying to flush him out of the building, and they're going to shoot at the motorcade. And what we see in another one of the videos I published is there's a Cadillac Escalade driving north on Las Vegas Boulevard that's taking fire. They are shooting at the Cadillac. So in other words, that's what they're really trying to do, is flush him out of the building, then attack the motorcade with 5 helicopters. Kill everybody.
Yeah, just
kill them all. Kill them all. So you see them shooting at this SUV. You see an Escalade driving north, but it's solo, but they don't care. They shoot at it anyway. And you see it get hit. So they're trying to attack his motorcade. Somehow his entourage makes their way to Maverick helicopter. And the Maverick helicopter departing at 10:13, 7 aircraft on flight radar. One of our eyewitnesses tells us it was probably more like 14 aircraft. And every other one had their transponders on, like breadcrumb trails. That was MBS's entourage being evacuated by Maverick to a safe house.
Now, okay, this is a lot to take in. Had they been successful, right, wouldn't it have been clear that they were getting fired upon from helicopters? Like in that scenario?
Yeah. Yeah, just like in Egypt when Anwar Sadat was killed, it was clear who did it, and Anwar Sadat is dead. Right? So same thing here. It's like it would have been clear that it was an overthrow, but the guys who did it, it's to the victor goes the spoils.
I guess the difference with this is that it's on U.S. soil, though.
Right, and it was a suicide mission, so the guys who did it knew they're probably going to die.
Right. So that was part of it, is that you're going to be captured, you're not going to say anything.
Or you're going to die trying, right? The chopper's going to crash, whatever. I mean, you're going to die trying. You're going to get killed doing this. But it will change the course of Saudi Arabia. Otherwise, women are going to be driving.
Yeah, we can't have that.
I mean, come on. It's the insanity. I mean, you talk about the horror. Women are going to be driving. I mean, we've seen what this can look like, right? So the old guard is like, no, we got to kill him. We got to kill him. We got to kill his whole family.
And you're saying that obviously at some level of the United States government intel agencies, they knew what was going on. They had to have.
Well,
they had to have given them like a green light a bit.
Jared Kushner flew there personally in between the Vegas shooting and the night of the long sword, November 5th. Jared Kushner goes to Riyadh unscheduled and flies commercial.
And this is when he was in the Trump administration.
Yeah. And so this was the green light meeting. This was beat them all. Beat them all. We don't care how hard you beat them. We don't care how long you beat them. beat them all.
That's crazy. That's wild. Let's take one more call here, or another call here. One more, please. We got Chris on the line here. 1 second, please, while we get him. This is, by the way, where can people find you if they want to learn more about this? Because there's this. I feel like we've barely.
Yeah, so on YouTube, I've published about 250 videos. The YouTube channel, just go to youtube.com/, the little @ I am John Cullen. The channel's named after J. Edgar Hoover's alternate identity. So the channel's John E. Hoover. That's J. Edgar Hoover's real name, is John Edgar Hoover. So I named it after J. Edgar Hoover because he's a lunatic.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can either search YouTube for Johnny Hoover or @ I am John Cullen, and you'll find the 250 videos. Then I do like early releases, and I've done a series of podcasts and what have you that I do for patrons on Patreon. And so if you go to patreon.com / I am John Cullen, you get access to a whole bunch of stuff that I can't basically publish on YouTube.
You just can't.
They take the channel down.
Yeah.
So, that's where you find sort of the deeper stuff is on Patreon.
Cool. And it's Cullen, Cullen.
Correct. John Cullen, Cullen.
Excellent. All right, let's take a call. Chris, are you there?
Yeah, I sure am. Howdy. Good evening, fellas.
How you been, Chris?
Hey there.
Good. Happy New Year, Danny. Happy New Year to you both.
You too.
Incredible content, super interesting discussion, and I'm absolutely glad I tuned in. And it's first of all, I was just remarking as you guys were speaking, it's absolutely crazy just how little this is discussed, even these years later. A question I have for you is something I didn't see receive much attention is in the photos of the hotel room, we see a device that, as far as I can tell, the description I did find for it online is that it's like a scuba mask attached to a hose. Do we have an idea what that is? Because it just looks eerie given the context, and I'm not entirely sure what that device is or supposed to be.
All right. So what these guys did was, it's called forging the crime scene. So they're in the suite. They realize this is not the shooter, and now they've got to create a crime scene that makes it look like this is the shooter. Otherwise, Lombardo's got to go outside and tell everybody, yeah, it's like the craziest thing. We busted into this room upstairs. There's a whole bunch of guns and stuff, but this couldn't be the guy, so we don't really know what to tell you. We're still looking for the guy. That doesn't go over well in Vegas, right? So Lombardo wants to tell everybody, we got the guy. Everybody get back to the tables. We got the guy. He's dead. He's on the floor. He's dead. We got the guy. It's over. That's not what happened, though. And these guys are all realizing they don't want to go tell the public, this can't be the guy. We got a dead guy, bunch of guns, but this isn't the guy. Can't be. The window's not broken. There's only 8 brass casings in the little room next door. So they break the window. They dump a box of spent brass casings on the floor that they got from their range. They have their own shooting range up by Vegas North Airport where they do all their practice stuff. They sent one of the helicopters up there to get a box of brass to dump on the floor. Otherwise, you don't have a crime scene. Then they've got to break the window. Then somebody says, well, I think I got a 3-pound sledge in the back of my pickup. They put, dude, you can't break that window with a 3-pound sledge.
Yeah, those were like super reinforced.
Oh my God, I don't know that you could break it with a 10-pound sledge. I mean, they're serious. I mean, a 3-pound sledge is for tent stakes when you go camping. I mean, bang your tent stakes in. You're not going to break that glass.
Aren't they like specially built to prevent jumpers who just lost all their money?
They're just about bulletproof. Like you need a shotgun if you're going to blow that window out. And so the blue hose and the mask and the glass cutter, this is forged evidence. And the whole idea here is to get people talking about this stuff. It's like the red herring. You know, this is, I don't know if you go fishing, but it's like when the lure has the little rattler and the 3D and the, you know, glow in the dark orange. It's got all the little doodads to get the fish's attention. That's what these guys did. The blue hose and the mask? What the hell does that have to do with the Saudi Arabian coup d'etat and helicopters? Nothing.
Or even Stephen Paddock.
Perfect. Right. So whoever's got that in the back of their pickup truck, that's great. You have some duct tape the hose to the mask, and we'll get hundreds of thousands of people talking about this for years. And it means nothing. But it's perfect.
You got me feeling like a mark right now.
But that's what this is. That's what these guys do. They plant a whole bunch of crappy evidence, and now people talk about, oh, what about this? What about that? What about the glass cutter? What about the... And like a lot of people talk about, what about the Australian guy? The Australian guy worked at the same place as Mary Lou Danley. And my response is, do either one of them speak Arabic?
Right.
No. So they have not really anything to do with this. Stephen Paddock was set up by one of these three women who said to him, I've got friends who are high rollers. They drive Ferraris, Lamborghinis, you know, the whole thing. And they want to go out to the desert to shoot. And they've got condos here and everything, but they're not citizens, so they can't buy guns. But they can buy guns on the private market as long as they're not felons. So Stephen Paddock has a minivan with him. What adult man has got a minivan in his 60s?
Yeah, with no kids, no grandkids.
Right. Somebody who's taking people out to the desert shooting. So if I'm going to take a bunch of guys and three women out to the desert, I'm going to need a minivan. He's got a minivan and a Hyundai Tucson parked at this hotel, 2 vehicles, and 3 women checked in with him. He thinks he's hosting 3 or 4 guys the next day. And in that case, 24 guns is not too many. If it's me and 3 women and then 3 or 4 more guys, there's 7, 8 of us. If there's 8 of us and I got 24 guns, it's only 3 guns per person. That's not a crazy
number. It's not that crazy. Yeah.
No. And I got a bunch of tannerite. So we'll go pick up some watermelons on the way out. We're going to tape the tannerite to the watermelons. We're going to blow stuff up out in the desert. We'll blow up some of this, blow up some that, pick up some Mountain Dew. That's what he thinks he's doing the next day, is taking a bunch of high rollers out to the desert to go shooting. And then the guy will say, damn, this Noveski is sweet, dude. I'll give you $5,000 for this. I'll give you $10,000 for this. That's what this was. Or that's what he thought it was. They come to the suite at 7 o'clock, knock on the door, expect we're going to have some cocktails, go get some steaks. That's the story Stephen Paddock was told. Knock, knock. Stephen. Hi. Salam alaikum, bang, he's dead. And that's the end of Stephen Paddock. He's the first one to die that night. Now the real bad guys pick their AK-47s up and head up the stairs. And they shoot, what's his face, Jesus Campos and the calf on their way out through the door. They go upstairs to the Four Seasons, and that's where all hell breaks loose at 9:47 p.m. So this, again, the narrative and what actually happened is so crazy different. And this is an aerial attack by Saudi Wahhabi commandos. I mean, this is an Al-Qaeda attack. Right? ISIS can't fly. Remember that. ISIS can't fly.
Like they don't have the just equipment and whatnot?
Yeah, it's like a ragtag thing. You know, they got a lot of they got Toyota Tacomas, right? But they don't have Boeing helicopters and ISIS.
Right, they don't have that kind of budget.
Right. So, but guys who are embedded within the Saudi Arabian National Guard that have got an allegiance to Wahhabi leadership, to me, that's more Al-Qaeda-ish to me.
Yeah.
But, you know,
to be perfectly honest, your recounting of events logically makes more sense than the actual story that is the accepted narrative. That a guy was just like was running bad gambling and just decided to go.
Well, particularly when you see this evidence. So when you see the evidence that we looked at tonight, where you realize, well, wait a second, if there's no gunfire actually coming from there, and the window is not broken, supporting there couldn't be gunfire coming from there. Well, then
also why
this guy didn't do anything, right? I mean,
why would he have two cars there? That's bizarre to have two.
Well, you think there's 8 people. 8 of us are heading out to the desert tomorrow. We're going to jam 8 of us in the minivan? No.
Right.
Right. So I'll put 1 or 2 of the girls in the Tucson, or I'll drive the Hyundai Tucson with one of the guys, and everybody else is in the minivan. We got 2 vehicles. It's perfect for 8 people.
Right.
He's got 100 pounds of tannerite, 24 guns. They're going out to the desert. That's what he's told. Knock, knock at 7:30. Bang, he's dead. He is the first to die that night. He doesn't know what the hell's going on.
No.
Then the women, the 3 women, one of those women makes her way down to the venue and says, you're all going to die tonight. And people think she was South American, but she's actually Middle Eastern.
Right. And then they were all just
I remember hearing about her.
Right. Saying
it's crazy that it's taken this long for me to hear about the 3 women he checked in with. That never crossed my radar. I just got one quick anecdote and then my final question for you. The anecdote is that it was overshadowed by all the lurid sex details and stuff like that. But in the 2016 WikiLeaks, that the ones that included the John Podesta emails, we got a treasure trove of emails that if you do a keyword search for Ellen DeGeneres, you quickly find there's 4 documents in particular. I mean, she is fed it up big time. Contracts between the Ellen DeGeneres show and the Department of Defense, Hillary Clinton's team personally thanking her for hosting like military appreciation nights. I mean, it's clear that the Ellen DeGeneres show, it has ties to the feds in some ways that aren't immediately apparent. The other just quick one is a story I remember hearing about Les Wexner, Epstein's financier, who apparently refuses to take meetings in rooms with open windows because he's that deathly afraid of aerial attacks from helicopters in the area, which has always stuck with me. And my last question just has to do with, prior to calling in, I wanted to confirm that it was a snorkel post that I saw. And in one of the articles describing the contents of his hotel room, it said that also on his hard drives and the computers found in that room was a mass amount of child pornography. I was under the assumption that was just found on his brother's computer, or supposedly.
Yeah, that's what I had heard.
But it's crazy that we see such a similar storyline with that second attempted Trump shooter, where that guy's the Ukraine, the weirdo on the golf course with the sniper's nest, that his brother was convicted or charged with child pornography just days after first speaking to the press. And it seemed like that was the same MO with Paddock's brother. So I'm just curious what the CP angle is on all this. And that's the rest of my content.
I think it just instantly kind of discredits you. Thanks, Chris. Great call. I think it's it just instantly discredits.
Same playbook. I mean, these guys go to the lone gunman, right? Lone wolf. Every time. When do we ever hear, and there were 3 of them?
Never.
Right.
That's a conspiracy. Right?
In fact, in New Orleans, with the guy who just drove through the crowd, the day of, the report was, and there were 2 or 3 other people placing explosive devices in the vicinity, working with him, and then that part of the story disappeared.
Yeah, they just said we were wrong. They just said we were mistaken.
So the reason the Vegas shooting is so important is because of the evidence that we have that demonstrates that the narrative is absolutely, made up. It's like farcical. It's ridiculous. And so when you realize the extent that these guys are willing to go to lie to the public, you take note of that. So that the next time when something happens, like a pandemic, You say, well, what were you guys willing to cover up last time? And to what extent were you willing to go to do so? And then you look at this and you're like, would you do something like that? It seems kind of crazy, but you did this last time.
Right.
And then you get to Butler, Pennsylvania, and you realize that ballistic evidence indicates there's another shooter. And they sweep that under there. And you're like, nah, real? Yeah. And so now you start to see this pattern. So over the course of the last 7 years, between the Vegas shooting, the COVID cover-up, the Ukraine biolab, Department of Defense gambit thing that went on, there's so many different stories, one after the other. You start to say, is anything that we're told the truth?
Yeah.
And the answer is no.
No.
Oh, no. Nothing you're told is the truth.
Yeah.
You know.
Man, it's a tough pill to swallow because it's probably true. Because it's probably true.
I mean, I still would refer to him as Caitlyn Jenner because I don't want to get punched in the mouth by a 75-year-old.
I mean, actually, Caitlyn Jenner's pretty based. I think he wouldn't care too much.
But But the net of this is the government has lied to the American people to such an extent, it's kind of unreal. And they just keep doing it. When you hear the COVID story and you realize what was going on with COVID, you're going to be kind of stunned by that.
Yeah. Well, let's put a pin in that because we're going to absolutely have to bring you back on because we didn't even touch Butler or COVID. So we're going to do a part 2 of this in the at some point in the near future.
Happy to.
Yes, absolutely. That was awesome. But for that, we're going to wrap this up right here. So people know where to find you. You're John Cullen, Cullen on YouTube. I am John Cullen.
It's right at I am John Cullen on YouTube.
Yeah, and I'm going to put all the links below so people can easily find you. Check out your Patreon. You obviously put stuff on there that cannot go on YouTube. I'm sure it's very extensive. You have a lot of stuff about a lot of things that aren't. I mean, this was just the start of, it seems like your journey was the Vegas shooting, and you have a ton of other good stuff. So go check him out. The links will be below. That has been the show. Thank you very much to everybody who called in. Thank you to John for joining me. That was a great show. Happy New Year, everybody. Good to be back. Check out The Bathhouse tomorrow night, 9 p.m. All new episode. And if you want to support the show, patreon.com/lowvaluemail, MAIL. Shout out to our lovely producer, Mark, working extra hard screening the calls tonight. And we'll be back next week. Good night, everybody.
Really a poet, you know it, all my shit heroic. Empathic abilities, yeah, my face be also stoic. Bleep, blow up, nigga, that just means I'm working. They see me as a leader, so that's why I'm Captain Kirkin. These tracks from the stars, that much is for certain. You can fit this hit if you up or if you hurt. I'm raising my stock, not talking my feet in some Birkin. Number Johnny 5, got a fucking short circuit. Bring the track to life when I spit phenomenal. When I hit, she feel that shit in her abdominals. These rappers make me laugh like comic view, they comic through. You know I got a ball out, I hit the track running just like Sonic do. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, they was trying to get me on my hype shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, and they tried to down me up some KO type shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, now we pulling up fresh on some flight shit. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, they was trying to get me on my hype shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, then they tried to down me up some KO type shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light